Welcome to the final game of the college baseball season. Tonight, a national champion will be crowned. It's LSU and Texas. One game for the title, and another chapter in the storied history of the College World Series. The final images of Omaha 2009 will be recorded in the next few hours, becoming classic memories that we will savor forever.
So here it is, Game 3 on a Wednesday night in Omaha. LSU versus Texas. Down 1, up 1, tied. Pretty crazy. A comeback, followed by a gem. It's for a return to glory where all thought and focus is fixed. And being around long enough to know that it's heart that prevails here. Plain and simple. Omaha legend has been made. The bar set. Issuing a challenge to all who will take it. Dedicate your life and your talent towards one great purpose. Greatness in Omaha. Rosenblatt Stadium, hallowed ground. A witness to the game's best for generations. But 2009 comes with a heavy heart. For only 2 championship series remain in this beloved little park. Tonight we enjoy Game 3 of the CWS Finals, live from Omaha, Nebraska, the home and haven of the College World Series.
ESPN's coverage of the College World Series is presented by Capital One. We are down to one game between 2 legendary programs, LSU and Texas, with the winner taking the national championship of college baseball for 2009. Good evening, everybody. Mike Patrick, Oral Hershiser, Robin Ventura. It's great to have you with us. LSU rolled the dice last night. They held their ace for Game 3 if necessary. As it turns out, it's very necessary.
Yeah, LSU has a pitcher on the mound with College World Series experience. Paul Mainieri chose Anthony Renato to pitch a mop-up inning last year in an elimination game. After the game was over, he said, that inning was to get you ready. You will start Game 1 of next year's College World Series for us. Well, not only did he start Game 1 here this year, he's starting their last game for the national championship, and Anthony Renato wanted the ball today.
Texas grabbed the momentum last night with a great pitching performance, and Robin, they're going to need another one tonight.
Well, they're going to need another one tonight, but this is the #1 pitching staff in the country. Tonight they're rolling out their #3 starter, Cole Green. Big, strong kid, sinker, slider, 88 to 92. Really, for the pressure situation, Augie Garrido was asked if he could handle this, if the pressure would be too daunting. He said he had a life-threatening accident when he was 14, so this is not going to be a problem for Cole Green.
Somebody always jumps from the shadows into the spotlight here in Omaha. One of those players this year, Russell Moldenauer. With more on that, here's Aaron Andrews.
Mike, thanks so much. Well, Russell, you just told me a frustrating year for you. You actually come to Omaha without any home runs. But here at the College World Series, 6 hits, 4 home runs for you. What's been the biggest difference?
I think the biggest difference is just being relaxed. We play at a big ball field and big environment all the time, so it's nothing new. So we're pretty much used to a lot of fans, and we've just been able to stay relaxed.
This team, known for their dramatic comebacks here in the College World Series so far this year. What's the vibe of the team right now as you get set to play Game 3?
The vibe is like yesterday, relaxed, playing games in the locker room back here, some hat toss game that a few guys invented, and just staying relaxed, chill, and just ready to play baseball like we have since we were 8 years old.
All right, well, thanks so much. Good luck to you today. Mike, let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Will Augie Garrido add to his legendary resume with a third national title at Texas? Or will Paul Mainieri lead his team to the mountaintop for his first title and the school's first since 2000? The national championship game coming up from Omaha.
If today was your last day, tomorrow was tonight. Could you say goodbye yesterday? If today was your last day.
The NCAA College World Series is presented on ESPN by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Buick. The renaissance continues with the new 2010 Lacrosse.
Almost looks like spring break in Omaha, Nebraska, as they continue to file in to see a national championship game between LSU and Texas. Before the first pitch, let's check in with our buddy Kyle Peterson. Kyle?
Thank you, Mike. You know, two of the most storied programs in all of college baseball will meet tonight in a spot that both have been many times before. 11 national titles between these two schools. Both are in a position to add one more trophy to their respective cases. For Augie Garrido, who's won 5 national titles, and Paul Mainieri, who's searching for his first, a win tonight would mean much more than a championship ring.
It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to everyone. My greatest joy in the whole thing is what we saw last night and the reaction of the players and the staff and the people that I work with. My joy comes from the expressions on their face, and they're jumping around and they're happy, and it changes their life.
5 national championships in a 10-year period during the 90s was really something. But they look at, you know, going 9 years without or 8 years without a national championship in baseball as a dry spell. It would be a great thing if we could get another number put up on the Intimidator. I think everybody'd be pretty excited down in Baton Rouge.
Hey, everybody, how y'all doing?
Mike, for Augie Garrido, before the game, it was a simple message. It'll be an imperfect game tonight. When they punch, we will punch back. For Paul Mainieri, he said, if you had told us at the beginning of the season we had one game for the national title against Texas with Renato on the mound, I think we all would have taken it. Mike, this one ought to be a lot of fun.
Boy, it sure should. 2 legendary programs, Kyle. Southern Cal still leads the parade with 12 national titles, but Texas has 6. LSU tied for 3rd with 5. They could move into a tie with Texas tonight with a victory, or Texas could move up to charts only 5 behind USC. Let's take a look at our Capital One starting lineups for the Tigers of LSU. And a familiar lineup as well, although we have had a shakeup. LeMahieu, Schimpf, Dean, Ochinko, Mitchell, Mato, Gibbs, Helenihi, and Nola. Ochinko moves up. Well,
Ochinko has been moved up because Paul Mainieri thinks Micah Gibbs might not have been protecting Blake Dean enough. Blake Dean, their #1 hitter, looking to get him started, especially in this last game for the national championship.
And that's a tough lineup to face for Cole Green.
It is, and he's coming in there, big kid, sinker, slider, very competitive. That's the thing that Augie Garrido likes the most. He said he is just strictly a competitor, and he's going out to face one of the top offenses in the country.
Opponents here in the College World Series have hit .280 against Cole Green in 2 appearances, 14 hits in 13 innings. LeMahieu will lead it off, who has a sparkling average overall, .348, and even better here in Omaha, .435 for the sophomore from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And the national championship game is underway. Fastball hit to right, down the line, and deep. And Keys fighting the sun and the wind out there, makes the catch in foul territory.
Well, it's interesting to play right field when the sun is out here in Omaha. You have to battle the sun, and the wind has been swirling today. We had a storm system go through that has had it blowing one direction during BP, another direction during outfield practice, and now a new direction, kind of a little bit going to left center. And the shadows are out also because of that sun.
That wall in foul territory comes right at the foul line. So outfielders have to be very concerned about that. Here's Ryan Schimpf, 5th round pick in the draft this year, 336 on the season, 350 here. They have hitters up and down this LSU lineup for Cole Green to navigate. Breaking ball in for a called strike.
Well, as we saw earlier, this 6 o'clock start time, you're always going to mess with the shadows. Just nasty shadows for a hitter. You're just wanting to get through the first 3 innings. Hopefully the sun goes down.
1-2 to Schimpf, and he backs out. Struck him out. They'll have to throw him out as the pitch not handled by Cameron Rupp, and they do throw him out. Texas 8th in the country in fielding percentage. Defensively, they've got Clark in left, Rowe and Keys. Torres, Lloyd, Tucker, and Belt. Lloyd misplayed a couple of ground balls last night, and Rupp behind the plate. Blake Dean. Like to get him going a little more. 6 for 19 here at the College World Series. That one hit him on his foot. And now they're going to call him back. Home plate umpire Perry Costello says, no, don't think so. And Paul Mainieri out to argue.
I think he's going to try and ask for some help. At least, you know, we've seen that in this tournament, that the umpires will get together and see if it hit him. It's going to be hard to see from the first base or third base because of the shadows. Not only does it affect the hitters, but it affects the umpires.
This used to be the old shoe polish play. You could just look for the mark on the ball, but nobody polishes shoes anymore.
No, they have the clear stuff now, but
somebody saw it.
Somebody's got some good eyes.
Yes, they do.
Well, the hitter's reaction, the hitters sell this so much, especially the foul ball off the foot and being hit by a pitch. And yeah, right on the top of the shoe. You got to polish your shoelaces to show that one on the ball, though.
Now, we get the benefit of the replay, but the umpires came together. Somebody saw it, and they award Blake Dean first base.
Well, I think that's the way you should do it. You know, get together. If somebody has an idea, somebody had a clear shot at it, you know, help each other out, and that's just great communication right there.
Ochinko moved up in the lineup and singles to left field. Only 3 out of 14 here in Omaha. They move him up. He gets a pitch to hit and hits it.
Well, if you've been watching hitters go up there with his shadows, you know he's throwing sliders, and it's, you know, early in the game with the shadows, don't wait around to get the 2 strikes. Go ahead and get through it. Get something that you like. Take a rip at it.
The dangerous Jared Mitchell will stand in with 2 on and 2 out. Mitchell also moved up in the lineup.
Well, Mitchell, a 2-sport star, already has a national championship ring from the 2007 football team at LSU, but he is a first-round draft pick in baseball.
Kid finally got some quality reps in the spring because he was taken from the football team. Les Miles gave his permission to Paul Mainieri. He said this is where this young man's future lies, on the diamond and not a football field. And he's shown us why in this series. You remember with LSU's slow start, the fans were taken out of it. They haven't been taken out of it tonight, have they?
No, last night we had that big rain delay. They used up a lot of their energy early, but they got it tonight.
2-0 to Mitchell.
It was
in there for a call. Trey had a lot of run on it.
Interesting listening to Les Miles, LSU football coaches here, witnessing the game, how impressed he was with the LSU fans, and they stayed out through the hour and 30-minute torrential rainstorm we had, and maybe that did wear them out, guys. They were really loud during that hour and a half.
Well, he's just about 90,000 in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. So it takes something to impress him.
He doesn't even have his headset on. He's making some play calls.
Mitchell fouls this out of play. 2-2.
Well, LSU's offense has scored throughout this College World Series. But in the College World Series finals, the first two games, 7 of 8 of their runs have been scored with 2 outs. So they are looking to build innings and finish them off. But this is a key situation for them because this is where they've scored against Texas.
Well, the contrary stat to that, last night 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. In the air to deep right, a 3-run bomb. Holy cow. Is this kid something? The second home run for Jared Mitchell at the College World Series.
Well, he's a first rounder by the Chicago White Sox, and Kenny Williams is liking this right here. And Les Miles absolutely loved it. Stay fair, or get the field goal through the goalpost.
That was more than a field goal. That was a 90-yard touchdown.
Well, I chose field goal because it was a 3-pointer.
Mitchell gives LSU a big lead, 3-0. All of this started with a hit batter with 2 outs. Chop toward third. Torres cuts it off and throws him out. But Jared Mitchell has given LSU the early lead with a no-doubt 3-run home run in the top of the first. Jared Mitchell coming to the dugout, and Paul Mainieri greets him warmly, and so does the LSU crowd when he takes his spot in right.
Paul Mainieri did. He moved Ochinko in to protect Blake Dean. Ochinko gets a base hit, and Jared Mitchell's up early and gives him 3 runs.
It kind of reminds me of the greetings Tommy Lasorda used to give with the old Dodgers. You always got a hug when you hit a home run.
Paul Mainieri and Tommy Lasorda are very, very close.
Let's take a look at our Capital One starting lineup for the Texas Longhorns. Torres, Tucker, Belt, Moldenauer, Rupp, Keys, Rose, Clark, and Brandon Loy.
Michael Torres does a lot for this lineup, but tonight, especially with the 3 runs given up, he's going to need to be a get-on-base guy, spark plug, everything for these guys today.
When LSU scores in the first, they are 28-3 on the season. While they have scored in the first, Texas will have to overcome that. We have seen the Longhorns be a power team with 5 solo home runs in one game. We have seen them play small ball.
The upper 140s.
Chop toward short and through. Base hit for Torres to start the game. That LSU defense had been perfect until last night. Looked a little shaky at times. Schimpf, Montook, and Mitchell. A lot of speed in the outfield. Helenihi and Nola on the left side of the infield. Brilliant. LeMahieu and Ochinko on the right side, and Gibbs behind the plate. And Augie Garrido this morning went out of his way to praise the entire defense of LSU, but particularly Helenihi at third and Nola at short.
You saw Travis Tucker square to bunt. Texas led the nation in sacrifice bunts this year.
And Tucker had 9 of them. Pops it up. And Gibbs gave it a great try but couldn't get there.
That's the absolute hardest pop-up for a catcher to catch.
Yeah, I mean, any pop-up around the batter's box, a catcher's got to look up. He's got to try and find it. He's got to run with gear. You know, nearly impossible to get that one, you know, to get out of the way of the umpire. Very tough to get after.
Because he's ready to go forward and pounce on something. 0-2 to Tucker. Called strike 3. Well, Renato didn't mess around. No waste pitch, no nothing.
Anthony Renato, 6'7", drives this ball downhill, just like we saw Taylor Youngman last night. 2 very tall starting pitchers, one a sophomore tonight and a freshman who came through for Texas last night.
1 on, 1 out for Brandon Belt. He's driven in 3 here in Omaha. Breaking pitch just missed.
Well, one of the things I really like about the Texas offense is they just find ways to score. You know, you don't have to get all 3 back right now. Get some guys on, move them around, put some pressure on, but you don't have to get all 3 back right now.
Belt with that closed stance. His home is Lufkin, Texas. And those 8 home runs, that's the best on this ball club. They played a huge home field. Don't hit a lot of home runs. They've shown their power out here, though. During the season, they became labeled as a small ball team because they only hit 18% of their runs via the home run. 5 games to College World Series, almost half of the runs produced by the long ball. But 12 of their 13 homers have been solo. Straightaway center field. Mato. 2 gone. Power Alley's here, 375. You see the Dish Falk field is bigger, and in 40 games they hit only 18 home runs. They've hit nearly as many in 5 games here. But the hitting conditions, as Robin pointed out the last couple of nights, are also better here.
Oh, absolutely. Well, at Dish Falk, it blows in. So, I mean, as a hitter, you're crushed going to the plate thinking, man, even if I hit one good, I'm not going to get anything out of it. So this is just, this is excitement when you come here.
You know, Mike, Augie Garrido has really allowed his team to use their skills to their ability. I mean, Russell Moldenhauer has really broken out. No home runs, 4 here at the College World Series. They've won games by walk-off walks. They've won games with their gloves. They've won games with outstanding pitching like Taylor Youngman last night. And Augie continues to adjust. You talked to him about his offense. He says, well, offense starts over every inning. You know, you only get 3 outs. So you play according to what's happening that inning. And he likes the sacrifice bunt. I don't think he ever read Moneyball as far as giving up outs. But Augie teaches the young men and gives them the flexibility to play the game of baseball, not just play one style.
That's a good point. Moldenhauer has shown his power out here. 4 home runs after not hitting 1 during the regular season. Sitting 375.
LSU.
Nice when you can bring your own equipment.
He's a big LSU fan.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Was that the fan on the left or the fan on the right?
I don't know. You can pick.
2-0 to Moldenauer. Fastball at the knees.
I think the other thing Augie does that is great with his offense is what you're talking about. He lets the game go out there, but you never know what he's going to do, and it's tough to manage against him sometimes to bring guys in because you never know what he's going to do.
Sometimes Augie is a man of few words. We asked him on the phone this morning, how you doing? He says, happy. Gibbs corrals that one. Moldenauer hitting 375 here at the College World Series. A double, 4 home runs, 4 driven in. Just a pleasant surprise for the Longhorns. He has raised his season's average to 263, and he just looks like a hitter, like a guy who can drive it.
Very polished. Got a little bit of an uppercut working here because he's had such good results with it.
Chopped, and that will get through. Torres is going to have to hold up because he had to wait for the ball to get by him. Well, Moldenauer with yet another base hit. 7 for 17 in Omaha.
Well, one of the things with an uppercut swing, if you have to hit it on the ground, you're going to get a tremendous amount of top spin. And you can see right here, Moldenauer hits it, top spin, takes that extra hop, and gets by LeMahieu at second base.
Torres did a really good job. You can see on the replay of screening Ochenko. Cameron Rupp, the catcher, stands in. He has the most power on this club with 11 home runs. Well, you know what's going through Rupp's mind. 3-run homer top of the first. How about my own right here? We're starting over.
Exactly.
I think that might be going through Renato's mind too.
It might be. It should be. Rupp, one of the heroes against Arizona State when he hit a home run in the 9th to tie it up. They looked like they were beaten by Arizona State. Had 2 solo home runs in the 9th to win it. And he has been on fire the entire postseason. Well, that just missed. Take you back to Friday against Arizona State. Sun Devils leading in the 9th. And Cameron Rupp tied it at 3. Connor Rowe would later win it with his own solo home run. 2 balls and a strike to Cameron Rupp. 2 on and 2 out for the Longhorns. Bottom of the first. Missed for the fastball. Well, the pitchers are going to have to put it in there. That's a small strike zone.
It's a fastball away. It looks like it's the right height, but maybe just a little bit outside. Anthony Renato has been pounding the strike zone. He's now thrown 18 pitches, 11 for strikes, 7 balls. But the one pitch he can throw for strike is a fastball. The breaking ball is not there yet. So he's backed into a count where it's going to be a number 1.
3 balls and a strike, and he walked him. Robbing that pitch aside, that strike zone is more for a hitter than it is for an Oral Hershiser.
Oh, absolutely. As a hitter, you got to zero in and pick a spot that you want that ball to go through. Almost pick a window out in front of the plate. Make the pitcher throw that in there. If the strike zone's going to shrink up, you don't have to start chasing stuff. Make him throw it through the window that you want, especially with bases loaded.
Baseball, always a game of adjustments. The first couple of hitters will come back and say it's a really tight zone. You know, you don't have to chase. And this is Keys, another big, powerful kid. 6'4", 225, a homegrown product out of Austin. 6 hits, including a home run here in Omaha. Texas trying to rally here in the bottom of the first after falling behind 3-0. Cameron Rupp makes it bases loaded. Torres at third, Moldenauer at second. Rupp with the walk over at first after 2 singles.
You'd have to say so far the hitters are loose and letting it go, and the pitchers are trying to find their rhythm with a little nerves.
Couldn't catch up to a fastball, 1-1.
And I always thought it was harder as a hitter to pick up the fastball in these shadows than it was for a curveball, because sometimes when you see it out of a guy's hand, you give up on it right away, and you don't have to chase. You know, fastballs are tough to pick up, especially with these shadows, because you lose it halfway there.
Something you don't see in Major League Baseball, a conference with the manager or the head coach as Keys is called over.
I think that was completely about, we don't need a grand slam right here. He was swinging out of his shoes. Augie's looking for him to calm down and just be the normal hitter that he is. Take the ball to right field, look for a base hit.
There have been 3 grand slams for Texas with the bases loaded. They are hitting .368 this season. That one's fouled out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Kevin Keys. Big moment early in this game. A lot of people already on their feet here at Rosenblatt.
Well, interesting to see the step off right there. Are they trying to get to the curveball, or does he want to stay with the #1 pitch that he's had this inning?
Up and in, struck him out. Keys chased the ball way out of the strike zone, and they leave the bases loaded. Two hits and a walk, but 2 strikeouts in the inning. We've played 1, and it's 3-0 LSU.
It's pretty simple, really. You take the raw ingredients, shape them, mold them, create what's meant to be. Culmination of thought, planning, ability, strength, and heart. Put it all together, and you have a champion.
That facility only 6 miles from here at Rosenblatt Stadium. In fact, all of the NCAA trophies are made at MTM Recognition right here in Omaha. Must take a little special pride in the baseball trophy, though. LSU leading 3-0. Texas had a chance, bottom of the first, but left the bases full as Renato worked out of a jam. And Kevin Keys was the victim.
I think we just saw a very emotional swing and an emotional at bat.
She split her loyalties. Hat and a shirt, different. Can't lose, can you?
Yeah, she wins no matter what.
Will this be the first for Paul Mainieri? He comes in here as the favorite. He has built an incredibly good ball club. They've won more games than anybody else in the country. They won game 1, but Texas showed all the heart it had in game 2, and they have tied it at 1. And Mikey, or Conroe, check it, Mikey Gibbs leads it off with a base hit. Travis Tucker couldn't quite corral it.
Well, again, you've already seen what Cole Green's been featuring to everybody else. You're just trying to get yourself a pitch that you can get a good swing on with the shadows the way they are. Get the first fastball, take a swing at it. And that's a good sign for LSU. You get Mikey Gibbs, guys were moved around in the order, and there's some guys coming through early.
Ball really fooled Tucker at second base.
It could have knuckled at him. It's one of those that come in out of the shadows you don't get a good read on.
Because he was headed toward the second base bag, and it ended up going the other way. Chopped down to third.
On the time!
Throw to first. Got it. Good tag by Brandon Belt on the wide throw from Torres.
Little hit and run Palmineri put on. So this ground ball chopper, there was no chance at second. He was already standing on the base watching this throw. You see that in the screen. Brandon Belt did a nice job coming back for it. He could have stretched out and probably kept his foot on the bag, but he decided to do both. See, he pulled himself off, and boy, that was very close. As a base runner, you're told to read that first baseman, and when they do that, you start to veer towards the inside, and you might even be able to duck out of the way of a tag. But you can't treat all those ground balls as routine when you get down there around the bag.
It may be the hardest thing in the world for a base runner. I mean, you're going full tilt. You're, what, 2 steps away when you see the guy move, and you need some time to react to it. Austin Nola, foul outside.
Well, if you're running the first, you have to be very slow to be able to react in any manner like that. Guys that are fast just want them to go straight ahead. If you're slow, you could dodge them.
Catchers can make any number of moves. And you saw the work down in the Texas bullpen. This is a game where nothing is going to be left to chance. Everybody's available no matter what. If guys pitched last night, they come in throw underhand.
You said nothing's left to chance. It could be Chance Ruffin, game 1 starter that gets in there sooner or later.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Austin Nola, the freshman shortstop.
Well, I think you're right. I think everybody for both teams, maybe except for Taylor Youngman.
That's about it.
I mean, everybody else has got to be active.
Austin Ross, the starter for LSU yesterday, probably didn't go far enough to not be available today.
Breaking pitch in the air. Keys got turned around, now straightens himself up, and short of the warning track makes the catch. Youngman, who was so brilliant last night, the Longhorns indicated early in the ballgame he looked like he could go 9. We were a little skeptical, but sure enough, he went a brilliant 9.
Career high 126 pitches, at least for this year. The highest he had gone is 124. He threw the ball downhill. He threw all 4 of his pitches, high quality. Pitched around 3 errors.
LeMahieu, who fouled out to right his first time up to lead off the game, hits this one foul down the right field line. Youngman with a masterpiece last night that kept the Longhorns in the finals of the College World Series as he guided them to the victory and tied this series at 1.
Yeah, I think, you know, we were talking about stretching him out to 9. You probably could have stretched him out to about 15 if he wanted to. I mean, that's just how dominant he was.
No, Augie only does that with his closer.
Oh.
That would have been Austin Wood. He did something like that earlier in the year.
Yeah, 13 innings in relief in that 25-inning game. But 126 pitches allowed, only 5 hits and 2 walks. More strikeouts than base runners combined. Somebody is always going to be ready, I think. One and one to LeMahieu. Fouled off of his leg.
DJ LeMahieu, drafted by the Chicago Cubs, has been in the middle of all the Tiger rallies. 6'4", now playing second base. Used to play shortstop, but as he goes to the big leagues, with that body, he might end up at third base. That body fills out. It's going to be a little bigger than you, Robin.
Up the middle. Grab behind second base by Tucker, but he didn't have it play. Made the throw anyhow, but he wasn't going to get LeMahieu. That ball just floated out behind second. Took a lot of time to come down. Tucker grabbed it and barehanded it.
It's a great play by Tucker. This ball is hit off the end of the bat. Flares, comes back to him, but he barehands it to give himself even a chance to get LeMahieu. Just a great job there of keeping it in front of him. He knows he's not going to be able to keep it in front of him.
Gibbs advances to third, so first and third with 2 men out here in the second inning, and they want to come out and talk to Cole Green. Cole Green has only thrown 28 pitches here. 2 outs in the second inning. Remember, Texas doesn't have a bullpen that's loaded with left-handers either.
No, the LSU team is 37-4 when they face a right-handed starter. Now, one of those losses was last night to Taylor Youngman. But when they have only gotten 1 run in the game this year, the 3 other times that it happened, they came back with 22, 18, and 9 the next game.
Well, there's one of their lefties, Austin Wood, the closer. We've seen him stretched out to 3 innings. Could probably go more in a pinch.
Well, I know some of those numbers are coming back after you only score 1 run. I'm not sure that all those teams that they came against were these kind of pitchers, these quality of pitchers.
Schimpf foul down the right field line.
Well, that's for a fact they weren't this quality, because you're talking about the #1 pitching staff in the country, and that's why we have this classic battle of great pitching against great power hitting here.
And sometimes they'll make a mistake, but you know, tonight Texas, Augie Garrido is going to roll out, you know, 5 of the best arms in the country, and that's, you know, there's a lot to be said for that, for this game going on.
Schimpf with runners at first and third. Boy, is it loud in here. Missed with a fastball.
With LSU jumping out 3-0, this is starting to feel like an LSU home game. I mean, Cole Green's got to feel like he's pitching on the road, not at a neutral site.
If nothing, they're enthusiastic, that's for sure. They can cheer and they can cook.
And Paul Mainieri's hoping that they have a reputation for playing baseball this year with a national title.
For one of the Longhorns, you got to be thinking, come on, guys, give us something.
Yeah, I think it's important right here. Cole Green doesn't give in. He still has a base open. He's giving up some runs, but don't just give in just to throw a strike. Try and make those quality pitches.
LSU has been really, really good with 2 out. Up the middle and through for a base hit. They're good again. An RBI single for Schimpf, and it's 4-0.
Well, they're hitting it hard, and they're putting it in play, and they're hitting it in the air, and they're hitting it on the ground hard, and they're finding some holes. 11 out of 12 runs in the championship series now by LSU have been scored with 2 outs.
Gibbs goes to third for Blake Dean, who started the rally in the first inning when he was hit by a pitch. With runners in scoring position, 13 for 36. But 2 games against Texas, only 3 for 21. Tonight, however, 3 for 4, and all 4 runs have scored with base hits with runners in scoring position. In the air should be easy for Tucker, and it is. The inning is over, but LSU adds to its total. The Tigers on top, 4-0 over the Longhorns of Texas.
I'm Reese Davis, Sports Center right now. To call it improbable or unlikely is a disservice to improbable, unlikely events everywhere. The United States is going to the final of the Confederations Cup. They defeat the world's #1 team, Spain, 2-0. Clint Dempsey putting home the second goal you just saw there. Maria Sharapova's comeback is going to be put on hold. She was sent home from Wimbledon by Gisela Dulko in 3 sets. The 2004 champ was playing in her 4th event since rejoining the tour after shoulder surgery. Sports Center 11 Eastern. Stay current, ESPN News.
Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA College World Series, presented on ESPN by Capital One. Let's check in with Aaron.
Mike, Augie Garrido just grabbed his team as they came off the field and had a little discussion with them. He said, look, there's nerves on both sides right now, but you need to stop feeling bad for yourself. You need to get past that. Now, it's interesting enough. In the bottom of the first, when Kevin Keys came up to hit, we saw Augie have that little conference with him. Augie got very agitated after his at-bat. Bases were loaded. He felt like Kevin was trying to swing for the fences. He told his guys, look, you can't try to win this thing by hitting home runs. You got to take your walks. You got to evaluate the pitches. You need to start being smart about things. Mike?
Well, Aaron, if you're going to listen to anybody, you listen to a guy with 5 national championships, 3 at Fullerton, 2 at Texas. I mean, who else seems to know more than Augie Garrido?
Well, I mean, he's won a lot of games without just hitting home runs. And these guys, you know, to get here have won it, like Oral said earlier, in about 5 different ways.
Connor Rowe, Preston Clark, and Brandon Loy to hit for the Longhorns here in the second. Remember, they had a rally in response to LSU's 3 in the first, loaded the bases, but couldn't produce anything. And you don't expect they're going to get that many more opportunities against a guy as good as Renato. When you get him, you have to take advantage.
Well, you had him at his worst. He was throwing strikes, but he only could do it with 1 pitch. And then as the pressure mounted in that inning, he really lost some of his command. But you have to feel that once he gets his legs under him, that we're going to see the Anthony Renato that was the ace of this team. Lewis Coleman was the stopper. He was the senior that really came back and solidified this pitching staff when he didn't leave as a junior. But Renato was the jewel.
Renato has not been able to get his breaking ball over for strikes. There's a wide throw by Austin Nola. LSU had been perfect until last night, but maybe some chinks in the armor starting to show a little bit.
Well, this is a ball that's grounded up the middle. Austin Nola goes up the middle, gets himself squared up to go back to first base, and just basically gets his elbow underneath him. Just launches it. That ball just takes off on him. If he stays over the top with a straight throw, obviously he's going to get him, but you can't let your elbow come underneath right there.
And as a result, it sailed wide of the bag. Ochinko tried to make a play. Well, that's ruled a base hit, and that's a break for Austin Nola. That was a poor throw. Preston Clark in the air on the infield. And Heladihi will make the catch, 1 out. Kyle, what do you think of Renato so far?
Well, I think he's looked okay. I talked to David Gruy in between innings, and he said the key, and really it comes into effect in this inning, is try to get back into rhythm. He said when Renato gets into trouble, he starts thinking about the big picture and doesn't go pitch to pitch. And he said that's really what happened to the first inning. Kind of looked around, saw the bases loaded, then made a pitch to get out of it. Remember, he struggled his first start here in Omaha. His second was really good, and the key in between those two was just trying to work down in the zone. When he's down in the zone, he's been pretty good.
Well, that one wasn't quite down in the zone. Drafted out of high school by the Orioles, but like so many guys who were drafted in the late rounds, had expressed a desire to play college baseball, and that's almost like a safety pick just in case. This one's in the air to straightaway center. Matuk, few steps to his right and makes the catch. 2 gone.
What will happen in the draft is organizations will not only evaluate your talent, but they will evaluate your signability. So you have the ability rating and the signability rating, and a lot of the young men that are very high quality will go in lower rounds because their signability is so low. And you're right, they take them as emergency picks just in case they can convince them later that they want to turn pro.
Well, I don't remember who it was, but somebody set a standard now for a high draft choice, $2 million. Their opinion says, you know, if they give you $2 million, you ought to go. If they don't, go to college, because you'll be able to increase that amount if you play 3 years in college and you really turn out to be a good ball player.
Well, I think all of it, you're rolling the dice once you get to that point. And, you know, again, for a kid that wants to go to college, because you know, the experience of playing and getting to this kind of situation, you can't go back and do it. You know, it depends on what you're looking for.
Torres started the game with a base hit. This chopped foul outside of first.
I would say more often than not, guys that never went to college, and it always comes up in a big league clubhouse when this series is on.
Sure.
The guys that signed out of high school missed the opportunity. This hurts them to watch this.
I can't ever remember hearing somebody say, boy, I regretted going to college. It was a bad move. They all seem to really appreciate either what they learned or just the experience of being in college. LeMahieu back on the grass fighting the sun, makes the catch. We've played 2 in Omaha. LSU with a lead 4-0 over Texas.
Since 1950, every College World Series looked and felt just like this one. Omaha, Nebraska, Rosenblatt Stadium. 8 teams, 2 weeks, double elimination, 1 champion. God bless America.
Ryan McGee reading a passage from his new book, Road to Omaha. Can't wait to read it. It is 4-0 here, LSU over Texas. Now let's go up for our Home Depot coaching clinic, and here's Robin.
In that last inning, Austin Nola had a ground ball up the middle, and one of the things is he dropped his elbow when he was going to throw to first base. He caught the ball going up the middle with his shoulder facing towards center field, so he tries to bring it back around, and when he's bringing it back around, he lets his elbow come underneath, and the ball shoots up on him. If you're going to actually make this throw, you want to go ahead and grab that ball, get yourself squared up to first base with your shoulder, and come through with your elbow below the ball, not down like this where your elbow shoots it through. Now let's look at Austin Nola as he gets this ball. Ball goes up the middle. He does a great job of surrounding it, getting himself going towards first base. But as you can see right there, his elbow comes through first and low, and the ball shoots up to the first baseman. Great job right here of getting this ball and getting himself going towards first base. All of a sudden, that ball just shoots up on him.
All right, thanks, Robin. And we have a new pitcher in the ball game, and it's Brandon Workman for the Texas Longhorns. 3-4 on the year with a 3.50 ERA.
And the hardest thrower on the team. He touched 95-96, and Augie Garrido has loved the way he has competed in this College World Series. The pressure has seemed to make him better.
He'll face Sean Ochinko, who singled back in the first inning and scored on the home run by Jared Mitchell. Fouled back off the press box. If you joined us late, LSU with a 4-1 or 4-0 lead, 3 in the first, 1 in the second. Texas challenged in the bottom of the first, had the bases loaded but couldn't score. And you're watching the third game in the best-of-3 series between two of the storied programs in college baseball. In fact, two of the storied programs in college athletics. Mitchell on deck. He had the 3-run homer in the first for the Tigers. This ball's fouled out of play. 1-2 to Sean Ochinko.
Sean Ochinko part of that lineup shakeup by Paul Mainieri. But every one of those moves has come through. Jared Mitchell with a 3-run homer. Ochinko with a base hit. And Micah Gibbs got a base hit when he got moved down.
Base hit by Ochinko to left center field. Makes the wide turn, but Conneroe got it back in a hurry. Ochinko 2 for 2. Mitchell, first inning. Got all of a fastball. That was his 11th home run of the year, the second out here at the College World Series.
A two-sport star who got to skip spring football this year and get a lot of reps in baseball and has really launched his career and elevated his status.
Swinging away, pops it down the left field line. Torres gives chase and can't get there, along with Brandon Lloyd.
Strictly on tools, this has got to be the #1 position player we have seen. As far as the running speed, the bat speed, the power, the hit for average. But you can see the reps there. Maybe he'll come working on hitting left-handed pitchers. That differential is big, but you'll see that. It's kind of common at the big league level even. 330, 340 against righties and then down mid-200s against lefties.
In the air to left. Clark. Step on the warning track. And Mitchell is gone. Mikey Mottook, the freshman from Lafayette, Louisiana, who has had a very successful series. 1 on, 1 out. Mottook grounded to third his first time up. Stands up there in a deep crouch to face Brandon Workman, who's a tremendous athlete in his own right, a high school quarterback. If you play high school quarterback in Texas, you're pretty good. Probably the most famous kid in your hometown. Workman ahead 1-2 against Mottook. Deep crouch with those legs and went after a fastball, didn't get it. Second out of the inning on the strikeout. ESPN analyst Kyle Peterson is on Twitter. He's giving live updates and insight on all the college baseball storylines throughout the championship. You can also search ESPN College World Series on Facebook and become a fan. You'll get behind-the-scenes access to everything that you want to see about the College World Series. And there's Kyle working away. Gibbs, a big hack and missed it.
15,000 people on Facebook there at the ESPN site. A lot of them talking about Aaron's outfit and Robin's orange tie. Seem to have some fashion consultants.
I have a lot of those.
Fashion consultants.
Yes.
Oh, that first day in the championship series, we all had on some shade of purple, and everybody thought we were LSU fans, and we don't talk about wardrobe at all.
It just happened to be a purple day, didn't it?
Yeah. You had purple stripes on. Robin had a white shirt and a purple tie, and I had a purple shirt and I guess a purple tie. But we got some heat for it, didn't we?
I'm wearing orange underwear. So
oh, great. Thanks for the info.
I'm in.
I'm out.
That'd be TMI.
Swing and a miss. Gibbs 1 and 2 against Brandon Workman. Struck him out. High fastball. And LSU goes down in the third, stranding a runner. Ochenko after a base hit. Bottom of the third. Longhorns coming to bat, down by 4.
This town, this night, this crowd, come on, put 'em up, let me hear it loud. This town, this city, this crowd, stand up on your feet, put your worry down. Come on, y'all, let's take this town. We could be anywhere.
Now time for our Coke Zero game track. Mitchell, the big blow of the ball game. The left-hander had a 3-run homer. Texas is stranded 4 against Anthony Renato, who has gone 2 innings and not allowed any runs and 3 hits so far. He has yet to be able to get his breaking ball over, but so far it hasn't hurt him.
When posted to a 4-0 lead, his record is 4-0. When given a 4-run lead, his record is 7-0. Right now, LSU statistically is in very good shape.
Two, 3, 4 in the order coming up. Tucker, Belton, Moldenauer. Renato misses with a fastball. Tucker, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Still hitting .381 in the series. Takes that fastball for a called strike. 1-1. Line drive, fair into the left field corner. Schimpf over in a hurry. Has trouble digging it out, though, and a stand-up double for Travis Tucker.
Well, as the shadows start to disappear and you're able to see the ball, you're able to get better swings on the pitcher. This is just the fastball that he's been getting people out with. And Travis Tucker stays on it, puts the barrel on it, pulls his hands through, gets that ball down the left field line for a double. And it can't be cut off, which makes it easier to get to second base. But, you know, a nice job of turning that fastball around by Travis Tucker.
Brandon Belt. Young man hitting .328. That's the best on the ball club. Renato working on 8 scoreless innings right now. Belt second on this team in home runs with 8, has 43 driven in, has driven in 3 here in Omaha. Moldenauer, he of the solo home run fame out here, is on deck.
Well, I know we heard those numbers of 4-0 after 4-run lead, 7-0. If you're in the Texas dugout, there's got to be a first time for everything. I mean, that's really the idea going to the plate is the numbers are daunting, but there's got to be a first time of a comeback and first time for everything, and Augie's the guy that can make you believe it.
Well, think about last night. They're down to LSU, a team that's favored. They come out and hit all those, they'd hit all those bombs the night before and still lost.
Yeah, and the Arizona State game was probably the most amazing thing to me. You got 6-0 lead with one of the top pitchers in the country, and you come back and drop 10 unanswered.
Mike Leake, a guy who had been drafted in the first round.
He was 16-1 at the time.
3-2 as Belt took a fastball, and Renato wanted that one.
Said borderline low pitches you get a lot more of than borderline high pitches.
I also think Brandon Belt being tall, it also changes the strike zone for the umpire.
Missed. Well, we were showing 3-2 obviously, and it was.
Now that's when you're locked in.
Yeah. Go ahead, take your base. I said take your base.
Push you down to first base.
When the home plate umpire says, son, you can stand here all night, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
It was ball 4. Moldenauer, 4 home runs on the year, all in Omaha. He has driven in 4 of his 14 runs here. Got a chance to get Texas back in the ballgame. 2 runners on, nobody out, squares to bunt. That is Texas baseball this year. Everybody on this team is bunt. He has had 3 successful sacrifices himself.
You have to watch out if that wasn't a bait to get a fastball right down the middle. I would still try and throw a quality pitch here, not assume he's bunting.
On the corner for a called strike, and that would qualify as a quality pitch.
And you never know, because Augie says he would have bunted Babe Ruth in the right situation.
Check his swing. He did. I think you might have had to call timeout and get the Babe over to the dugout and let him know what you were planning to do, because he wouldn't be looking down to third base for the bunt sign.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been looking over there. He probably wouldn't have been very quiet about it. Just on the stories that I've heard.
Yeah. He's got an object on the field out and left, and it's being retrieved by Schimpf.
Yeah, Robin, I think at third base right now, I show bunt defense and then I move back during the pitch. I know you used to do that for me.
Well, you can. It's hard sometimes to do it because then you're out of rhythm as an infielder.
2-1 to Moldenauer. Fastball. He lines it to left center field, but caught by Matuk. He just outran that ball, and it was slicing away from him. Heck of a play by Mikey Matuk.
Mikey Matuk got off on this ball very, very well, but the beginning of the route wasn't correct. He read it as being in front of him, so then he had to veer back. And a last-minute stab, but his first break was quick, but the wrong angle, and he changed his angle and was able to reach out and stab it. He just outran the ball.
That's a 2-run double that he stole from Moldenauer and the Longhorns. He's made a couple of beautiful plays in center field. Runners both go. They were really ignored by Renato. Travis Tucker took off for third. He must have had 6 steps, and Renato's still holding the ball.
Yeah, obviously Travis Tucker has timed Anthony Renato going to home plate with the looks. He's got a pretty good rhythm of what he's doing, and he takes off, and really no chance for Gibbs. That was just stolen right off of the rhythm of the pitcher.
Now a single would get 2 home if Cameron Rupp can come through. Still only 1 out. Rupp walked his first time up. And one of their better hitters here in Omaha, 353, including 3 homers, and he's driven in 5. Breaking pitch towards short. They'll go for the out at first and get it. Produces a run. Tucker scores, and it's 4-1. Texas on the board.
Augie Garrido caught Anthony Renato taking a sigh of relief on that first pitch. And he put his runners in motion, and that picked up that run. Anthony was on his heels with a fastball hit by Moldenhauer that should have been a double. It was saved by his outfielder, but fell asleep for a pitch.
Keys chases another high fastball. That's what they got him on earlier in his first at bat. At third with 2 outs, 1-1 count to Kevin Keys. Laid off of that one. It's only the first run Renato allowed, and he was the one who allowed the runner to go to third so he could score on the ground out. Just high, 3-1.
And throughout this College World Series, Kevin Keys has been a low ball hitter. Anthony Renato's mistakes with his fastball have been up. Really a good equation for LSU. Keys' little practice swing is always down in the low, below the knee area, right where he likes it, where his home run was hit.
Renato, 91, a fastball right down the pipe. Keys doesn't strike out that much, only 31 times all season long. That's foul.
Well, Keys is finally shortening up his swing. Earlier, his first at bat, he had bases loaded, and Augie was a little upset with the way he was swinging, trying to come out of his shoes and hit a 5-run homer. And right now, with 2 strikes, you just want to shorten up, put it in play, get a good at bat.
All they need is a base hit to produce another run. This one in the air. Ochenko by the tarp and just couldn't quite get there. Good effort by the first baseman, Sean Ochenko. And with the wind blowing toward left, he almost had a play on it.
And anytime you get a pop-up and you get messed up with the tarp, sometimes the ball will drift on you and you get stuck on that tarp. It doesn't slide very well. So once you get over there and you make contact with it, you can't slide down the tarp. So when the ball carries, you have no chance to jump or do anything to try and get it.
3-2 to Keys. Texas already has a run home here in the third and a runner at third with 2 out. fastball fouled back, and he's certainly making Renato work. Renato with 58 pitches so far. We're only in the third inning. This would be the 9th pitch of this at bat. Low fastball and lost him. Tying run comes to the plate. The NBA draft on ESPN tomorrow. Our coverage starts at 7 Eastern with the NBA draft preview. Blake Griffin, Ricky Rubio, Tyler Hansbrough, Stephen Curry, and more future NBA stars will be at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night on ESPN. I should have said Stephon Curry, obviously. Conner takes one for a ball. Renato trying to get out of a jam. Misses low.
That was Anthony Renato's 61st pitch, and he threw 77 against Arkansas. They were a little worried about him in the heat. They could have brought him back yesterday, 3 days rest, but decided to go that extra day with the heat and the full rest and having him for this Game 3 finale.
This is virtually nothing but fastballs.
His release point has not been very good on his curveball. He's either pulled it into the left-hand batter's box or hung it down the middle of the plate. The umpire hasn't given him much room for error on the breaking ball. He's thrown some maybe at the top of the strike zone he thought he could have got for strikes. But he needs to find both pitches to have easier innings.
3-0, and Conner takes ball 4. They are loaded.
Well, you see the pitches by inning. In the first inning, he was setting the table, and that's why there's 23 there. He had a pretty good breaking ball and good location in the second inning, and here, again, the breaking ball not with him, and the fastball command has left him.
Back-to-back walks, 3 in the inning. The first one is already scored. That was Travis Tucker to lead off.
I'm a little bit surprised.
Excuse me, it was Brandon Belt who followed Tucker.
I'm a little bit surprised that this visit wasn't in coordination with a little activity in the bullpen. Even though there's 2 outs, it's a 4-1 game. You're playing for the national championship. I'd have somebody throwing alongside him right now, so it's not a rush to get somebody in there and let this inning spiral out of control.
I think you're right. You know, not only that, but even in the first inning, it was a similar type inning where they had them on the ropes. They had bases loaded. They didn't get anything out of it, but they keep getting them in these situations. Eventually, you're going to have to get somebody warmed up because a couple hits, you're in trouble. You're not going to be able to get somebody in, like Oral said.
There's not a soul down there. And Preston Clark will come up with the sacks loaded. Something in the gap, we could have a 4-4 ball game. Missed.
Now remember, Texas won a game with a walk-off walk, and they built the inning with a walk, a hit batter, and a walk. That's the kind of discipline Augie Garrido wants from his hitters that he didn't get from Kevin Keys in the first inning.
Preston Clark 0 for 1. Popped up his first time. There's a fastball right down the middle. Ball and a strike to Clark. The second time the Longhorns have had the bases loaded. The first time back in the first, they did not score. There's a hook in there.
He caught a little bit of a break on the width, I think.
That's the first time he's gotten a call in that part of the zone.
Got the height right, but this one looks a little wide. In a pretty tight zone, especially on the breaking ball.
Fastball high, 2-2. You have to think he wants to get him on this pitch. 3-2. You got the merry-go-round going. You got those extra steps. Fastball fouled out of play.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. The 2-2 pitch is the action pitch. He doesn't want to get to the 3-2 pitch and have the merry-go-round going. Your force outs at second and third are still available when you have a 2-2 pitch, action pitch. 3-2 with the runners going. Most of your outs are going to be at first base.
That was Les Miles, the football coach. Come here to support the baseball program. 2-2 to Clark. Another fastball, another foul. Boy, some great at-bats by the Longhorn hitters.
Yeah, it's just the time right now where you really have to grind him out, foul off the tough pitches till he finally makes a mistake if he's going to. But you have to foul off those tough pitches on the black like that.
Renato has been out there a long time here in the third. Another foul ball. And the count holds it 2-2.
This particular instance is where I don't like the college game where they call the pitches from the bench. I think there is so much going on in that pitcher's mind right now and the feel in his hand. If he has the confidence to grip the curveball and throw it here, it's an out pitch if he can make the pitch. But if you have somebody else calling your pitches, you can't communicate what feels good and what you have your rhythm with now and where your confidence is. And I think pitchers need to grow so that in these biggest of big situations, they have a feel for what to do and how to do it.
Well, whatever he chooses, it will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat and the 37th of the inning. Breaking ball is high. Now the runners will get the jump.
You have a chance to get a swing and miss on a ball that's slightly up because of that high curveball miss, because it'll look like a curveball for a strike. He's going to throw fastball, I'll guarantee it.
High fastball popped up, but it'll get back here in the seats. Boy, you're right. He threw him a high fastball, and he went hacking after it.
It was a ball, but it was the right height because it was out of the curveball for a strike window. And the hitter's going to see that's the type of the strike zone. Oh, my gosh, that could be a strike if it's a curveball, and I've got to fight it off as a fastball.
There were reasons he was good, weren't there?
He thinks too much.
High fastball walks in a run. What an at-bat by Preston Clark. A walk and an RBI. 3 straight bases on balls. Now action in the LSU bullpen.
So much about the 3-2 count is just giving the hitter something that looks like a strike at the beginning. And that ball had no chance in the hitter's eyes of being a strike.
Brandon Lloyd, the number 9 hitter, and Bertassini is up and warming in a hurry. Lloyd takes a fastball right down the middle. And Paul Mainieri, after that 3rd walk in a row, okay, boys, get down there and heat up. Foul back out of play.
Well, you notice the difference between this hitter and the last hitter? Renando's in the windup. He decided, I walked him in the stretch, I'll go to the windup. Forget it. Forget holding the runners close.
Needs to get this out, pitching to the number 9 man who he got to fly out to center. His first time up has him in an 0-2 hole. Texas has had the bases loaded twice. They've produced only 1 run. That coming in this inning on a walk. They had them loaded in the first and could not score. In a bases loaded situation, they've gotten only 1 out of this, although they scored earlier in the inning, and it's 4-2. Renato has already matched his season high with 5 walks. On the ground is short. Force at second base, and boy, Nola took a chance diving in there, glove first, to make sure he got there in front of the runner. Bases loaded, left stranded, 3 guys. Still a 2-run game.
I'm Reese Davis, Sports Center right now. To call it improbable or unlikely is a disservice to improbable, unlikely events everywhere. The United States is going to the final of the Confederations Cup. They defeat the world's #1 team, Spain, 2-0. Clint Dempsey putting home the second goal you just saw there. Maria Sharapova's comeback is going to be put on hold. She was sent home from Wimbledon by Gisela Dulko in 3 sets. The 2004 champ was playing in her 4th event since rejoining the tour after shoulder surgery. Sports Center 11 Eastern. Stay current, ESPN News.
Welcome back to Omaha. 4-2 LSU over Texas. Boy, Texas has had opportunities. They've only been able to get 2 runs out of it. We're at a great facility, Rosenblatt Stadium, this year and next. Construction started here in 1947, and in 1950, the NCAA moved the event here for the first time. It's been here ever since. And they renamed the stadium after Johnny Rosenblatt, the Omaha mayor, who was the driving force behind it. Major renovations throughout the years have turned this into the best minor league ballpark you've ever seen. It's been used by the Omaha Royals, and this is the 60th College World Series to be played here. 61 will be the last next year, and then we will move to the new stadium, TD Ameritrade, downtown. And some people have pointed out it's not the facility, it's the city. The facility will be terrific. Talked to the project manager the other night. She was telling me some of the specifications and just how beautiful it's going to be, and fan friendly and media friendly, and how much work they have already put into it. Grounded to short. 1 gone. Helenihi, the first out of the inning. $128 million will be the cost, period. No increases. Capacity 24,000. 26 luxury boxes. 1,000 club seats. And that's what you can't have here at Rosenblatt. They just determined just couldn't retrofit it anymore. They'd done everything they could with this great old stadium.
Well, for somebody that played here, you know, this is really a shrine to everybody that, you know, ever played college baseball, and it's, you know, definitely going to be missed.
Sure will.
And the city of Omaha has been wonderful, you know, putting this tournament on every year. But you know, I think you look there and you see the facade, you see the background and the, you know, the profile sometimes that we get those clips, and that's what I'm going to miss.
I think that's something we'll all miss. It has had so many memories for anybody who has come out here. And we've been fortunate enough at ESPN to be coming out here in a long time. Austin Nola right back at the pitcher, and Workman. Hello. Well, that's when you don't glove it, it might take you with it into center field.
This official comeback right here. You don't catch this ball, it catches you. Ooh. He was very fortunate to get his head out of the way there. We talk about the top spin on the college ball because of the seams and how fast the ball comes off the bat because of the aluminum bat.
You know, when you go to the doctor and he wants to get your heart rate up, that's the way to do it. His heart rate went from 80 to 150. Back to the top of the order for LeMahieu.
Well, earlier in this tournament, Josh Spence, he had been hit in the face earlier in the year and had a couple comebacks. You could tell his heart was racing.
Oh, yeah. Only pitchers can understand. Two and one. LeMahieu fouls that out of play. Oral, did you ever get drilled, or should I say how many times did you get drilled?
How many times? Unfortunately for me, it was all in the legs. I don't think the highest I ever got hit was like in the hip, a line drive off the hip. Nothing in the head. I got my head out of the way a few times. When you're a sinking ball pitcher and you throw a low and away to lefties that are good low ball hitters, boy, they take the ball at the middle a lot.
Well, don't throw it there.
Well, then there goes your career.
That means you throw it down and in and back up third base, right?
Exactly.
This is in the air to right field. Keys, almost in his tracks, makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down in the LSU fourth, but they continue to lead at 4-2 over Texas.
Georgia Bulldogs win the 1990 College World Series.
LSU wins the College World Series on a home run by Morris.
Breaking pitch on toward third. Yes. Out of the park. Detweiler's got it. Cinderella wins a national championship.
The last one was Fresno State. Indeed, Cinderella, one of the great stories of all time as they win it a year ago. Oregon State after back-to-back wins. Those are the two teams that lost the first game, went on to win the series. Texas trying to replicate that feat because they forced game 2 last night. Another beautiful day in Omaha after some afternoon showers. And you start wondering about Renato, who was already up to 77 pitches after 43 last inning and walked 4.
Threw 77 pitches and made it through 6 innings against Arkansas in his last solid outing. Here,
Torres leads it off in the Texas fourth. Straightaway center field. Montuk has been able to chase down just about everything during this series. Catches that one in his tracks for the first out. Log on to NCAA.com and you can keep up with all of the NCAA College World Series information. It is the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. Travis Tucker 1 for 2. Takes that one for a called strike. Too high for a ball.
Well, Renato needs a quick inning right here. Get that release point. Give the Tigers some confidence in his ability. 80th pitch. He's gone as high into the 120s this year.
Line to right field, a base hit for Tucker. That'll bring up the third hitter in the order, Brandon Belt, as they get to the power guys.
Anthony Renato is going to need his breaking ball to get through the heart of this order. He's not just going to be able to rely on that fastball his location on his fastball is not good enough to pitch with one pitch.
There's a good one.
You see that curveball right there. See, he's thrown only 5 for strikes of the 12 he's attempted, and if he was throwing more of them for strikes, he'd have attempted a few more. Been in a situation where he's had to throw a strike, and it's been the fastball.
Yeah, he had pretty much abandoned the curveball in previous at-bats. The only thing that was changing whether he was high or low in the zone.
He's been back into counts, 3-1 counts, 3-2 counts, 2-2 counts. He's not sure he can throw a strike, or they're not sure coming from the bench he can throw a strike with a breaking ball. So it's been predominantly fastballs.
And as a hitter, if a guy can't throw a curveball for a strike, you're not going to swing at it. You're going to make him, you're going to force him to throw strikes before you start swinging at it.
0-2 to Belt. Fouls off a low fastball. Moldenauer is on deck.
You have show pitches and you have established pitches. Show pitch is something you throw, but a hitter just disregards. You've just shown it to me, big deal, you got it. An established pitch is something that you actually can locate. And then you can actually go to another level, one that actually impresses them enough it creates a little anxiety because they don't want to see a pitch because it's really an out pitch. Something they cross off in their minds is I can't hit it anyway, so why look for it?
Did you ever get a show pitch hit?
Very rarely. Unless it was just, you know, a show pitch, let's say you didn't have your curveball like Anthony's having problems with, and you hang one and right out of a high fastball window and somebody hits it and goes, well, I was sitting on the fastball, but I was just out in front of that hanging curveball that he hasn't been able to throw for a strike.
Belt has spoiled a couple of 0-2 pitches.
You get every pitch hit. Sooner or later.
There's a breaking ball. Fooled him and struck him out.
What's outstanding about this is that when you don't have a pitch, you have to find counts to bring it along. And they brought this pitch along at the first pitch of this at bat. And finally got his release point on it and then was able to go to it in an out pitch situation. And like Robin says, you kind of cross it off the list, but then as the pitcher starts to bring it along, you have to then bring it back into your mind.
Well, especially with 2 strikes, you know, it creates a whole different bit of anxiety for the hitter, like you said.
When you see that swing, you know a guy is fooled. It's nice, rhythmic, level, and all at once. The hands dip, and you're trying to go down and get a bat head on it.
Well, you're not expecting that pitch as a hitter. He hasn't been able to show it for a strike, so you're just not really ready for it.
Good pitch to Moldenauer. Outside corner at the knees. Texas fans trying to make as much racket as possible. When you don't have as many people, use the stadium. Use whatever you got. Moldenauer down to second base. LeMahieu throws him out. Texas strands another. And after 4, LSU continues to lead in a game that will decide the national title.
The prestige and the expectations that go along with the University of Texas baseball program. It's almost like if you go, 4 years of college baseball here and don't get a World Series, it's almost like a failure.
It's in your job description. If you don't know where Omaha is and you don't take the team to Omaha, then you have fallen short of the minimum requirements.
To be able to play at Texas, put on the uniform every day, is something I want to remember the rest of my life.
Great tradition with both of these ball clubs, and Augie Garrido, one of 4 men to bring 2 teams here to the College World Series. He's with Aaron Andrews right now.
Mike, thank you. Augie, your guys able to get to Anthony Renato in the bottom of the 3rd. Why?
Well, we started doing a better job with pitch selection. We're pretty pumped up in that first time around, and we swung at some pitches outside of the strike zone. A lot of nerves in this game.
How do you calm your guys down? What do you do about that?
Just staying with them and encouraging them and making sure that we're making the right suggestions and supporting their failures.
And as you told me, it doesn't have anything to do about hits. It's got to do about the runs. How do you get them?
You're never going to forgive me for that.
No. How do you get them?
Just be patient, and they will come.
All right, Augie, thanks. Mike.
The philosopher. I've heard of if you build it, they will come, but be patient and they'll come as a new one.
I've been in a couple games where we've been patient, and all of a sudden the game was over. So sometimes you got to put a little pressure on it.
Schimpf will lead it off for LSU in the 5th. Too high from Brandon Workman, who relieved Cole Green. Hard hit, but right at belt. The first baseman takes it himself. 3 unassisted and 1 out. Our coverage of Wimbledon continues tomorrow morning on ESPN2. Join us at 7 a.m. Eastern. We'll show you the second round of the championships at Wimbledon. I didn't get to go to Wimbledon, but one year I was in London at the same time it was being played on a trip. Cold. I mean, it was in the 50s. It's raining. Summer doesn't start for about another month over there most of the time. But now they've got an indoor option. Workman has retired 7 of 8 that he has faced. Blake Dean, nobody on, 1 out here in the LSU 5th. They got off to a great start with 3 in the first. They've had the lead the entire way. Dean, hard hit down to belt. He'll take it again himself. 2 straight unassisted outs for the first baseman. And now Ochinko with 2 hits in this game and 5 here in Omaha, 5 for 16. And this was one of the lineup changes that Paul Mainieri made that is certainly everything he has done has worked out as far as a lineup change is concerned. Moving guys around in the order.
Now, sometimes at the college level, we look at the game, we think the skippers have overcoached, but these young men need a lot of direction.
Rupp just in front of the screen makes the play. Nice quick inning for Brandon Workman. And LSU is gone in the 5th with a 2-run lead. Workman has retired 9 in a row, and that was only a 7-pitch inning.
Coach Burton would come in and speak to us and give us a little bit of the past and just to hear about all those guys and all the national championships and how much fun it was. You quickly became a part of the LSU family. Just the way that they played hard and they played the game the right way. I think that's what's kind of coming back with this team, just the way the guys carry themselves and care about the game and want to do it and do it for the fans.
The legacy at LSU and to the people around Baton Rouge and people around Louisiana is the championship is expected every year.
This is exactly why I came to LSU, to go to Omaha and have one more shot at it.
Paul Mainieri's job was to restore the glory, and he has done it at LSU. He's with Kyle Peterson.
Paul Renato struggles. First couple innings, goes up 2 in the 3rd, but looked better that last inning. From your standpoint, what was different during the 4th?
Well, he started pitching. He used his curveball more, and he was throwing strikes.
the inning before when he threw 43 pitches, he was throwing mostly fastballs. And, you know, if we hadn't let him steal second and third there, we would have got a double play ball, would have got out of the inning. So that was my fault. I should have done an inside move there.
Now, little lineup change today. Mitchell moves up to the 5-hole. Ochinko back in there. Mitchell hits a 3-run home run back in the first inning. What prompted that change?
Kyle, I just feel like Texas is showing Dean so much respect. They're not giving him anything good to hit. I needed to get a couple of guys up there right behind him. And, you know, I know they got Wood in the bullpen, so I wanted to use Ochinko as a right-handed batter behind him, but then move Mitchell up, too, because he's been swinging so well.
That worked out pretty well.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Mike.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Pre-game, Paul Mainieri talking to Skip Bertman, and Skip, I think the greatest compliment he had after he retired as the baseball coach, he was named the athletic director, one of the most powerful institutions athletically in the country, to oversee the football program, the basketball program, the great track program they have. That is an enormous compliment to a baseball coach.
Yeah, what a guy he is. I mean, I was fortunate. He was a pitching coach on the Olympic team in '88 when I played on that, and just a wonderful coach. What a tremendous job he did at LSU, but to also be an athletic director, obviously a special person.
Cameron Rupp will lead it off against Renato, but he's quickly in the hole, 0-2. Rupp with a walk and grounded into a fielder's choice so far tonight. Breaking pitch fouled away. LSU continues to lead by 2, where we are in the Texas half of the 5th inning. Rupp, Keys, and Rowe, the scheduled hitters for the Longhorn. Ripped back through the middle, base hit. Let's check in with Oral.
You know, Mike, Anthony Renato really made a good adjustment on his curveball. One of the things that he had to do was he had to stop on his motion, swimming this glove out of the way. Your mind sometimes wants to take on the shape of the curveball, and what that does is when the glove moves out of the way, the arm gets long and the ball pops out. So to make the adjustment, you got to keep the glove in close and then actually throw the curveball over the front of your glove. Let's take a look at his good one and his bad one. The bad one, you watch the front side, it goes out really fast, and he throws it out the top half. That front side is the lever.
Back to live action. This ball crushed into left by Kevin Keys. Home run, and we are tied at 4. Holy cow, what a shot.
Well, we were talking earlier that he's a low ball hitter, and Anthony Renato puts that thing down in his hot zone, and Kevin Keys loves that ball down and knows what to do with it if it's down there.
Never got to the curveball in the sequence. That was just a fastball that was hammered.
The low ball hitters, you can pitch them down, but you have to be very, very careful. You want it to be low and away, and his sweet spot is low and in.
The Longhorns just never give up hope. They never stop scratching. And we have a new ball game tied at 4. 14 home runs for a team that was labeled as these guys are nothing but small ball. They're really good at it, but they don't hit many home runs. They're only 3 off the all-time record.
Remember, Augie Garrido was really mad at Kevin Keys in his first at bat. He's even the subject of one of their team meetings an inning later, and the kid could have hung his head, but he didn't. He came back, he listened, and he stayed in the game. He didn't give up. He didn't mope. See that smile right there is because of his character coming back from instructions and taking the reprimand.
He isn't mad at him anymore. Connor Rowe in a 4-4 ball game. Chased a curveball, didn't get it. Mikey Gibbs throws him out at first. If you just tuned in, boy, have you missed a great start. We are in a 4-4 game in the Texas half of the 5th inning. We are playing tonight for a national championship LSU won the first one, Texas a second. Neither team strangers to a national title. Welcome to our coverage on ESPN, brought to you by Capital One. Preston Clark with one out, nobody on. Lines it foul into the right field stands. Chop foul. Most people's assessment when they saw LSU out here and they saw Texas out here, they said LSU is bigger, stronger, more athletic. They look like more polished college players, more complete college players. Texas is going to have a tough time. Well, Texas has had a tough time, but they are dead even with them, and they're fighting for a national championship. There's more than one way to get it done, isn't it?
Well, the Texas team is the classic pitching and defense and just find a way to score runs. And LSU has solid pitching, outstanding defense, and then they are playing the old gorilla ball. But Texas has come to swing with them.
Preston Clark has had some big hits in postseason. A walk-off grand slam to beat Army in the regional. This one's line foul out of play. He's only had 3 home runs all year, but that's an easy story for Texas. Most of these guys, no home runs or very few during the regular season, and postseason, they've been all over it. 100 pitches now for Renato. This could be his final inning. Breaking ball misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Brandon Lloyd, the number 9 hitter on deck. Clark is 1 for 2. And in a 1-2 hole. Breaking ball hangs up in the zone, and Clark puts it out into left field for his second hit. Now you have the number 9 hitter, Brandon Lloyd. He's 0 for 2, 5 for 20 here in Omaha, so we see more action coming from LSU. You think about doing something here with 1 out and 1 off.
Well, Brandon Lloyd has been their most successful sacrifice bunter on the year. And, you know, right now you go ahead and with 25 sacrifice bunts, this is probably where he's going to do it.
Doesn't show it on the first pitch. Lloyd, the only Longhorn who has failed to reach base tonight. In fact, he not only leads the team, he leads the nation with 25 sack bunts and showing no sign of it whatsoever. And Renato has thrown more curveballs in this inning than it appears he had thrown all the others combined.
All of a sudden, he's found his release point on it. Paul Bertesini gets loose in the bullpen. Pitch that they're trying to get him to throw. And the thing is, Robin, is unconventional to maybe talk about the sacrifice 1 out, but that's something that Augie Garrido does.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it sounds crazy, but he likes getting guys at second base, and he likes to get guys in scoring position.
Beautiful curveball that time, but showing 3 pitches, no bunts.
Especially the way Michael Torres has been swinging the bat. He only has 1 hit tonight, but he's been on Renato, and that's the thing. You want to get a guy in scoring position. Hopefully you jump out ahead and then see what happens.
Not bunting Lloyd, very counterintuitive. Chops foul. If you're a stock market watcher, you might say contrarian on this move. The left-hander Chad Jones, another football player for LSU, is getting warm. Bertesini had been up before, so he's ready to go already. 1-2 to Lloyd. Fastball way outside. 2-2. Clark does not have a stolen base on the season. The runner down at first. Line but twisting foul into the LSU bullpen.
Anthony Renato just cannot put quality pitch after quality pitch and string them together. 108 pitches now. 72 strikes, but control at times, but not command.
Almost all of those strikes seemingly have been fouled off. Two and two. Missed with a fastball. Full count. Loy has only fanned 27 times this year. Do you start Clark and try to get a runner into scoring position, or do you leave it up to Torres if Loy can't deliver? In the air down the right field line. Mitchell makes the catch in foul territory. That's the second out of the inning. Turn the lineup over for Michael Torres. Lined out, popped out, and singled in 3 trips tonight. And his average down to 231 here at the series. We're in the 5th. LSU has given up the lead. Texas has tied them at 4. Breaking ball is hot.
I think right now the choice for Paul Mainieri is he's trying to get Anthony Renato through 2 more hitters. Yes, Chad Jones down there ready to go, but you're just hoping you can squeeze a couple more hitters out of him, because now you're going to start counting backwards to end this game of who you're going to put in until you get to Matty Ott.
Fastball low. 2 balls, no strikes to Torres, who has some power. 5 home runs, including 1 out here. Another solo shot. Texas hit a bunch of those. But talk about squeezing. Everybody's starting to grind a little bit here. 5th inning of a national championship game. Every pitch becomes even that much more important. Fastball in the air to left. And Schimpf is over to make the catch. The inning is over. But the big blow from Kevin Keys. A 2-run homer to left center. And we're tied at 4 at the College World Series. Is this kid something? Welcome back to Omaha. Now time for our Coke Zero game track. Well, it was 3-0, 4-0 LSU. Texas has chipped away 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th, and they have tied it at 4. Mitchell still with the big blow, a 3-run homer. Workman 3 innings, only 1 hit, but Keys, the big blow for Texas, a 2-run job in the 5th to tie it. And it looks like cramps for Keys. We have seen this before. Question is, how long can you keep them in the game once they start?
Well, Mikey Mott took one of the hot games, game 1. The center fielder for LSU took an IV in between innings to keep himself in a game. Maybe that is Kevin Keys' destiny in between these next innings.
I think you'd be worried that, you know, a ball that's actually in play, that he would cramp up. And now if there's a ball in the right field corner and he goes down,
inside the park home run.
You got a lot of issues. You know, I think, obviously they're going to watch him closely.
Well, that's what happened to Matuk. Remember, he got spun around in center field. He cramped up, barely made the catch.
Yeah.
And once you go down, there's no getting back up to chase it.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. When you go down with a cramp, you're not getting up.
No. Here's Mitchell. He'll lead off to 6th for LSU. Breaking ball from Brandon Workman for a strike. I mean, you have to have good starting pitching out here. You have to have a good closer. But you've got to have a guy like Workman who comes in long relief, who can make the connection between those guys and who can give you those important innings. And he has done it.
And one of the things you worry about in the College World Series with these middle relief, long relief guys is how they're going to be affected by the pressure. A lot of times they're on your staff because they're not quite good enough to be a starter yet. They're not your closer. And borderline ability sometimes melts down under pressure. And we see that a lot at the College World Series, that soft underbelly of a pitching staff gets exposed not always by ability, but by the emotional ability they have to maintain it at this level.
Workman thought he had a strikeout on a backdoor breaking ball, and it was framed very well by Cameron Rupp, but they didn't get the call. Now it's 3-2 to Mitchell. If anybody on the LSU roster that they would want to have on base, it is this kid. And there is Les Miles, who said, yeah, I remember how fast he was. Backup wide receiver on a national championship football team.
Well, I think we have they had said it was 2-2, and Jared Mitchell asked if it was 3-2, and then
that's
they said
what we have.
Yeah, it's 3-2.
Workman to Mitchell. Count 3-2. Fastball fisted. And Rupp can't get there.
Well, he was featured a steady diet of curveballs earlier in the bat. And now at 3-2, he jams them, gets that ball inside. And, the differential in speeds really jams you up as a hitter.
Another payoff pitch coming to Mitchell. Walked him. Guy's stolen 36 bases this year. And he can fly. I do mean fly. Our NBA draft is on ESPN tomorrow with coverage starting at 7 Eastern with the NBA draft preview. Blake Griffin's going to go first. But what about Tyler Hansborough? What about Rubio? And more future NBA stars will be at Madison Square Garden tomorrow night on ESPN. Last 2 National Players of the Year with Hansborough 2 years ago.
Well, Jared Mitchell can run at first, and Mikey Matuk has been called on to do everything in this series. He's been called on to sacrifice, hit and run, swing away after a fake bunt because you think you're getting a fastball and he hit it long. Paul Mainieri put him through that in a tie game in Game 1 when he had a huge at bat and got an emergency swing base hit on a 2-2 high fastball away. This guy hits for power, and Paul thinks he can do the small ball also.
Matuk has not had a successful sacrifice all year. This one gets away from the catcher, who was looking for the ball to be bunted. Cameron Rupp had to get away from him, and Mitchell able to motor into second base.
Well, I can't see this from where we're at, but sometimes the barrel gets in the eyes of the catcher. And it looked like he might have just been crossed up right there.
Do a little of both, too. The bat, maybe glancing to see if Mitchell is running at first and just loses concentration on the ball.
Well, I'll guarantee you one thing. No matter how hard the ball is hit, if it's a base hit, Mitchell will be waved around third. Wood is already up. So is DeSherry. Wood, the closer, the left-hander. Mitchell literally has world-class speed.
Yeah, you'd almost want to let your outfielders play back because you're not going to throw them out anyway.
No.
So you might as well save yourself an extra base hit.
If I'm Texas, I don't play to stop Mitchell from scoring this inning. I play this inning to only give up 1 run. You have a guy on second that can steal third. He also can get moved over. I am not going to lose this game by letting a 2 or a 3 spot or a 4 spot going up there by trying to save 1 run. I'm going to have a shot at the national championship. If LSU allows me to get a 0 up there, then they didn't execute.
Matuk is 0 for 2. Will he get his first sacrifice of the year? And both coaches playing some games now. What are you going to do? Fake the sacrifice? You're going to hit away? Or are you going to go ahead and sacrifice? There's Marianne. Hoping Mikey can execute this. Pulled the bat back again. 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, if he's going to bunt this ball, he has to get it down the third baseline. Brandon Belt is right inside the pitcher when he releases this ball. He's going to have to put it down the third baseline and get Michael Torres to get it.
I would like to see him put it down anywhere because I don't think you can get Jared Mitchell at third. I don't care how bad the bunt is unless it's popped right in the catcher's mitt on one hop.
Well, that's the key here is if he hits a ball that looks like a bunt, but it's more of a line drive, he can catch it, and Mitchell might get picked off second.
3-0. Fastball in there, 3-1. Strike 2. Matuk appeared to be taking it all away.
Philosophically divided. Bunting at the beginning, then taking at the end, and now you're down to 1 pitch as a hitter.
Matuk with that open stance. It's not going to be real easy for him to try to hit the ball to the right side to advance the runner. Tried to go that way.
Yeah, he's had some at-bats in this series that have been unconventional. They've been odd at-bats, but he's grinded the whole time. That's the one thing that he's done up there is he's still trying to get it over there. Not trying necessarily to get a base hit, just get it to the right side.
Fastball into the gap in right center field. Mitchell held up waiting to see if it was going to drop, but he's still going to score easily. And Matuk flying all the way, got into second base. LSU with the lead. Nice piece of hitting by Mikey Matuk.
And the more fastballs that you get to see, the better chance you have. You can see that he was on that last one, and he's still thinking about going the other way. And he gets that ball in the right center. If he was trying to pull that ball, he probably wouldn't have had that good a swing at it. And it looks like the family's pretty happy.
And so's Mikey. That'll do it for Workman. We'll check out the pitching change when we come back. LSU has regained the lead. Skip Bertman of LSU very happy that his school has pulled out a 1-run lead here in the top of the 6th. Nobody out. They've got a rally going. And it is 5-4. The new pitcher, Austin DeSherry out of Spring, Texas.
Well, Austin's a hard-throwing righty that has a plus changeup. That has served him very well. He's the true setup man for the Texas Longhorns.
And right now they need somebody to shut down this rally, as LSU has already regained the lead. And with a runner at second base, nobody out. Workman with a great job out of the bullpen. Did everything you could ask. 3+ innings, only 2 hits. He is responsible for Gibbs down at second, or Montauk down at second, with Gibbs at the plate. Gibbs 1 for 2. Moved down to 7th in the order tonight. A move that really worked for Paul Mainieri. Gibbs turns around to sacrifice. Good bunt will get the runner over to third. Throw is high, not in time. Pulled him off the bag.
He gets off the mound really well. It's a nice little bunt, just gets him over for a sacrifice. But Austin Sherry picks up 2 guys at first base, and he hesitates on his throw. He sees the second baseman behind, and Belt goes back. And I think he decells his throw, and that's why this is high. You see right about there, he goes, oh, who's there? Who am I throwing to? He picked up the second baseman down the line and Belt at the bag and didn't really commit to the throw.
So Gibbs with the sacrifice reaches on the throwing error by the pitcher, and Montauk advances to third. Now Helenihi, still nobody out. The infield back at second and short. Anything on the ground up the middle would produce a run.
Yeah, they're playing back for that double play. You know, you still got to stop them. And like Earl said earlier, even right now, you'll give up the run to be able to get 2 outs. And with the defense that these guys have, you'd be able to turn this over if it's hit on the ground.
And Helenihi looking for anything that'll work. He is only 1 for 21 at the College World Series. That'll work. Helenihi drives one to the warning track for a sacrifice fly and gets a run on. Helenihi gets his first RBI, and for LSU, it couldn't have come at a better time.
Yeah, you're looking for a ball up. Anytime there's a guy on third base with less than 2 outs, just get a ball up in the zone so you can elevate it into the outfield. Easy sac fly right there by Helenihi. Just a nice, you know, that's just textbook hitting.
Montauk scores. And the lead is back to 2 for LSU. Austin Nola, the number 9 man. Tucker ranges wide to his left and throws him out. 2 gone in the inning as Gibbs advances. And now back to the top of the order for DJ LeMahieu. Well, it's been a great series between these 2 teams, and this has been a typical ball game. Back and forth and back and forth. LeMahieu at 6'4" doesn't look 193. But that's a big second baseman there.
Yeah, this is the guy. I mean, we've watched a lot of games in this tournament, and this guy has really impressed all of us, I think, and I know it's impressed me. He has quality at bat after quality at bat, and that's the thing that strings together a good offense is guys like this.
This one gets away from the catcher, and it will get Gibbs into third base. The wild pitch will be charged to Austin Desherry. And LeMahieu is aboard.
I think this is going to be about it. You're going to have these lefties coming up. I mean, there's no reason to save Austin Wood. You know he can go 13 if you need to.
Yeah, you already have that, don't you? Desherry is gone. We will check on Austin Wood when we come back to the College World Series.
The stretch from Austin Wood. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Swung on a ground ball that threw on the right side, of base hit. Coming in to score is Connor Rowe. The longest game in college baseball history. Longhorns win.
Texas won that one. 7 hours and 3 minutes to win it 3-2. Austin Wood pitched 13 innings against Boston College. Gave up only 2 hits. Struck out 14. That's 13 innings out of the bullpen. How's that for a closer?
Well, he's a huge team leader before that outing and even more after. And they just saw his character and his tenacity, and this team has kind of taken on that personality. This young man wants the ball any day, any time, for any length.
Hometown Kingwood, Texas. And they're bringing him in now in the bottom of the 6th because you'll have Schimpf and Dean, the left-handed hitters. The next guy is scheduled to bat. He's got 2 out. 2 aboard, and it's already a 2-run ball game. They can't afford to give up any more. Schimpf 1 for 3 tonight. And a very good series. The wind not much of a factor, but it is blowing out to left. Looked like the remnants of a beach ball that time. Two on, 2 out for Schimpf here in the LSU 6th inning. And Wood misses with his first pitch. Crossfire lefty, really tough on left-hand hitter.
Yeah, this is the part where you really have to focus and try and take the ball the other way. You know, inside is too tough.
Misses again, 2-0.
You know, the way he crossfires like that, he actually reminds me of our old teammate Dennis Cook, who pitched at Texas. You know, just that crossfire, he drops and drives, and it's just very difficult to pick up where his release point is.
Fastball popped up in the seats behind home plate.
And you watch him on the mound right now, and you might be at home going, why didn't they throw a breaking ball? You know, you bring in a lefty against a lefty. Why is he throwing 3 fastballs? Well, he's got a man on first, and that hole's over there. So anything off speed, it's a higher percentage if it's hit on the ground. That man on first, they get an easy base hit. Trying to get him with the fastball away.
That was up and in, and it did hit him. Went outside, then came up and in.
Well, if it hit him, it probably just got a piece of the jersey. You can see right under there, you know, nothing flush, but enough to get him first base.
And Paul Mainieri almost stepped into the batter's box.
He almost pinch hit for Blake Dean.
Yes, he did. Wanted to get his attention and couldn't.
Now again, this is something about the college game is you can have offensive timeouts and call your hitter over and talk to him. You normally don't see this in the big leagues, but you do see it here. And I think, you know, Augie Garrido does it, Paul Mainieri does it right here. Just get him in the right frame of mind, give him some confidence, let him know what you're thinking.
Can he go in the batter's box and get him?
He almost did. He almost tapped him on the shoulder.
Blake Dean, 2 out to sacks loaded. The 8th man to hit in this inning. Lefty against lefty, that one missed. This is a huge point in the game. Gibbs, the catcher, at third. LeMahieu down at second base. And Schimpf, who was just nicked by a pitch, the runner at first. Missed again, 2-0.
Now, against a similar pitcher last year, Blake Dean hit a ball off the left field wall off of Cole St. Clair from Rice. And in this kind of situation, he's normally going to hit the ball in the left center field. He does a really good job of keeping his front shoulder in.
Blake Dean 0 for 2 was hit by a pitch to reach base. Boy, that one was way inside. He looked like if he hadn't hit it, it would have hit him.
That one ran in on him. I think he needs to look a little more out over the plate.
Two and one. And that one did hit him. He sold it pretty well, too, didn't he?
Well, Austin Wood on his fastball away seems to be pulling it a little bit. And when he tries to make an adjustment, he comes underneath it. And the ball tails in on these left-handed hitters. And got 2 guys on the jersey. Got him right on the back hip, right above the hip and on the jersey.
Well, after that prior swing, I really think Austin Wood thought that's where I really need to go. That's where I really need to go at him.
And you can, all you look readers can tell he's saying no way. Now the right-hander, a base hit through the hole in the left. 1 run scores. The throw to the plate offline. Sean Ochenko against the lefty comes through with a 2-run single. Well, how about that? You had a walk, hit by pitch, and then a big 2-run single.
Yeah, anytime you get a couple of guys get hit, now you know the pitcher's got to come into the zone. And Sean Ochenko just sitting on a fastball right in the middle of the plate, pulls it into the hole. Big boost for this offense.
I take you back to the leadoff walk man on second, and they were so worried about Jared Mitchell getting the third base that they lost Mikey Matuk, who was going to just give him an out with a bunt. And the game in this inning turned into a crooked number.
9-4 LSU. Soft liner to short. The inning is over, but the damage is done. Mitchell lines out. Huge 6th inning for LSU. 1 step closer to a national championship and breaking the heart of the Longhorns.
This town, this night, this crowd, come on, put 'em up, let me hear it loud. This town, this city, this crowd, stand up on your feet, put your worry down. Come on, y'all, let's take this town. We could be anywhere.
What an inning. We're here at the College World Series where LSU has regained the lead, and they're up big 9-4 in the 6th. 5 runs with only 2 hits and 3 unearned. Here's why. A pass ball, an error on the pitcher, a wild hit, or a wild pitch. 2 batters were hit. We had a couple of walks and 3 of the runs unearned. And those are the innings that lose you ball games. And Augie Garrido had another team meeting Erin Andrews, this one better have been a beauty.
Yeah, well, first of all, Mike, he had to wait until Kevin Keys was able to get off the field, which took quite some time. He is now in the locker room with the training staff. He had cramped up very, very good. Augie went on to tell his team that, look, we have 4 innings to pull off another dramatic comeback. And just remember how good all those felt when you pulled it off and everybody thought you were going to lose and the team across the way felt like they were the better team. He said, just go out there, play the game like you know how. Don't count yourself out just yet.
Motivating college athletes or athletes at any level is a very, very difficult job. But is there anybody better than Augie Garrido finding the right thing to say? They don't always work, but they give his kids a chance. And Paul Mainieri is thinking right now, we don't need any meetings. We need about 9 outs.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that Anthony is still on the mound after that long delay and the way he has struggled, and he's at 115 pitches. I thought they'd go right to the bullpen with that 5-run lead.
Well, I think
Texas batting here in the bottom of the 6th.
I think again they're going to start counting backwards from right now. You're going to have, Matty Ott's going to have the 9th. Earlier, Louis Coleman was down there, so you know you're going to start counting backwards of the inning. So you're hoping that he can get through this one.
Renato's pitch count is already at 116. So you have to think this, looking at this inning, as his last.
And with Chad Jones down there in the bullpen, the lefty on the left-hand side of the screen, this could be just a 1-batter inning for Renato.
Because you got 2 lefties coming up with Belt and Moldenauer. Low bridge.
Well, again, this is a whole different situation with a 5-run lead. I think if you're, looking at a 2-run lead, it would probably be a little different for Paul Mainieri. But right now, he's got a little room to let him breathe a little bit out there.
Golfed to straightaway center, and Matsuk is there for the first out of the inning. Check in with Kyle.
Yeah, guys, Earl, you just started to talk about it. I think we'll see Jones right here. Renato out there to get the first hitter, 2 left-handers in a row, so Jones on to get Belt or Moldenauer. And then I think you'll see Louis Coleman. A talk with Paul Mainieri before the game. He said, I think we can get probably 2 out of Coleman. Ideally, we want him to bridge the gap to get us to Ott. Ott could go 2 if they need him, but that might be judged just based on how well Coleman's throwing the ball.
Would you see that big exhale from Paul Mainieri? It's starting to sink in. 6th inning for a national championship. He wants us so bad he can taste it. And Les Miles knows that feeling. He knows what a title is all about. We'll check out the new pitcher when we come back. Renato with a standing ovation. Is the sun setting on Texas' chances? Maybe. 9-4 LSU over the Longhorns. 6th inning. Pitching change as Chad Jones will come on for LSU in relief of Anthony Renato, who is getting well wishes from his teammates, and he earned them.
119 pitches, and he really did a lot with only 1 pitch. There was only a couple hitters that he really executed his curveball and could put it in their head. So he battled him and he got him to this point.
And the lefty from Baton Rouge is on to pitch. Chad Jones, another football player.
Young man who lost his starting job in the outfield, and they said, let's take a look at you on the mound. And he turned out to be able to throw it above 90 miles an hour and 4 strikes.
Expected to be the starting free safety this fall for the Tigers football team. Comes in at about 6'3", 240, his football playing weight. Nickname is the Dreadlocks of Doom. Gotta like that.
Paul Mainieri was thinking about asking him to cut them, and that Other guys on the team said, no, this is cool. This is intimidating. We need a reliever with this kind of hair. Leave it alone. So they nicknamed the Dreadlocks of Doom. Everybody in the bullpen's got to have a nickname.
Well, I think with his size, I think you could have told Paul Mainieri. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh, breaking ball, got it. Well, when you get it up there at 90 with a fastball, that hook looks pretty good.
Well, this is a solid little slider, too. I mean, he starts this looking like a fastball away, and it just drops right on the corner. It looked like a fastball down the middle, and his head football coach cheering for sliders now.
Moldenauer stands in.
I think Les was cheering harder right there than he was when they were scoring runs.
Saying he has some biased cheering. Football player does it.
Yeah, I think he only cheered on the home run from Mitchell, and then now he gets a strikeout from Jones.
And his friends are texting him or tweeting him and telling him what's going on.
1-1 to Moldenauer. Another fastball. Is this kid impressive against left-handers or what?
I said this the last game he appeared. If anything ever happened to him where he couldn't play defensive back, he's got a future as a left-handed reliever in the big league. 92, low and away, and a breaking ball.
You might want to put a little extra padding underneath that left shoulder. That could come in handy later. And he is a big-time safety. And they have a tradition of guys who will just saddle up and rip from that spot. A ball and 2 strikes to Moldenauer here in the 6th. Struck him out. Moldenauer knew it. He doesn't act like a baseball player. He doesn't react like a baseball player, but he can play baseball.
If I'm his teammate, I'm not chest bumping the guy. He'd go right through me. These breaking balls right here are absolutely amazing.
He might end up on the disabled list. Another two-sport star. And Lester will have him in the fall.
This place is just inspiring. Rich with history and tradition. A shrine. The shining light and ultimate destination for so many. And so few. You see, Omaha's not just another stopover. Not just another spot on the map. It's a link to our past and a clear path ahead. As time ticks away on this magnificent little place, it's not a time for sadness, but a time for reflection. Because no matter at what location or on what hill, it's Omaha that makes the College World Series special.
Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska, where LSU has opened up a 5-run lead on the Texas Longhorns. We'll go to the 7th inning. And we understand Keys has had an IV. He is back out there. The cramps have stopped because of it. But what the Longhorns need right now is a miraculous comeback.
Well, they need some outs right now in this inning, and then they know that they can come back. They were down by 6 runs against ASU, Mike Leake, and they got them all back in 1 inning. So it wasn't over the long term. They went out and they got him.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the way this ballpark plays. You know, anything's possible. And, you know, right now you just got to worry about shutting this down and then worry about getting runs later.
That's been one of the things Augie Garrido has said for the last 2 weeks. Baseball is a game of endless possibilities. But the Tigers' record after 6, if you want a stat that will impress LSU fans, undefeated when leading after 6, 48-0. That tells you the quality of that bullpen. Travis Tucker calls off his first baseman and makes the catch here in the 7th for the first out as Matuk pops out. Now Gibbs, the switch hitter, will turn around and bat from the right side. I don't know. Nobody runs into you at 100 miles an hour as a pitcher, do they?
Not that I know.
It'd make the sport fun, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the bullpen is quiet for LSU, and that means that Chad Jones, our football-style pitcher, is probably going to come back out.
This one in the air to straightaway center field. Connor Rowe got a late break, but gets there. That's 2 out. You can log on to NCAA.com. It's the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships, and it will keep you up with everything that's going on here at the NCAA College World Series in Omaha.
Well, I'd like to see Chad Jones face some righties.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm already impressed with the lefties. I want to see some righties.
This one hit to straightaway right field. Keys back a couple of steps after taking that IV. The cramps are gone, and he was able to field it easily. 3 up, 3 down in a hurry in the 7th. LSU with 5 national titles, going for number 6. They're ahead of Texas. The Longhorns have 6. They're 2 of the most storied programs in college baseball. But for head coach Paul Mainieri, this is an opportunity to win his first, and no better way than against one of the legends, Augie Garrido.
If anybody would have asked me before the tournament began, who would you like to meet in the finals, I would have said Texas. Not because I think we have a better chance to beat Texas, but just because of the tradition and the history of Texas Longhorn baseball. And I guess if we're to win our first national championship, speaking of me personally, it's only appropriate that we would have to do it against the winningest coach of all time that's already got 5 national championships in his back pocket. That would certainly make it special if we could pull it off.
There's his wife, Karen. This is the 3rd trip to the College World Series for the Mainieris. Last season with LSU in 2002, they came here with Notre Dame. And the other man on the shot at the beginning there was Dennis Pope of the NCAA, the fine representative who controls this event and does such a great job for us and the NCAA. Jones, who was very impressive in the last inning, will now get to see Rupp, Keys, and Rowe here in the Texas 7th. Mechanics aren't bad either, are they?
Well, he's pretty solid. It's very, very simple delivery. A little bit of a short arm, but it makes it really hard for you to see the ball. And when it's above 90 miles an hour, that's pretty doggone good.
Jammed him. Popped into shallow right, and Mitchell comes on to make the catch. Check in with Kyle.
And Mike, when David Gruy and Paul Mainieri walked back from the bullpen after that last inning, it's almost like they wanted to see if Jones could do more. They said, we're going to leave him in there. We'll see what can happen. Lewis Coleman's going to be ready, but ideally now, if they can get Jones through the 7th, Coleman in the 8th, and Ott through the 9th, that's how it matches up. David Gruy looked at me and started shaking his head. He said, he's the best athlete I've ever seen in my life.
He is something. Kevin Keys, the right fielder, had a home run back in the 5th. Also has a walk tonight. And is hitting .318 with 2 bombs here in Omaha, and has driven in 6 runs for the Longhorns. All tied up on a check swing.
Well, the way he's been cramping up, if he hits a ground ball, he might be sitting in the batter's box, cramped up, and be thrown out by the longest distance ever on a ground out to short. I'm not sure he's completely there.
A ball and 2 strike to Kevin Keys. 7th inning for Texas. They're down by 5. They have come back time and time again. Do they have another one left? And can they get anything off the sophomore left-handed Chad Jones? That hit him on the back foot. Well, he got cramps, and now he gets drilled. Tough night for that young man.
Well, when it rains, it pours. That's for sure. I don't know if an IV is going to help that, but you might have a heartbeat on your toe. Or at least right on the top of the foot.
And that'll be barking at him. Connor Rowe.
He'll be able to take his pulse off the top of his foot.
Rowe, the outstanding center fielder. And I think Keys is just hoping to be able to go station to station. They're going to come out and take a look at him.
Right now they're asking him, what's worse? You know, your cramps, the top of your foot?
Finish it off with a nice paper cut.
Where are we going to start? And squeeze a lemon on it.
Certainly want to be able to keep him in the ball game if you can. He's a talented young man, and it's the 7th. He would have a chance to come up again in the 9th if you can get anything going. And the IV should really take care of the cramps, at least for a little bit.
For a little bit, and he's had a home run in this game, so if they could get some people on in front of him in the 9th, he's got a chance to be one of the guys who hits the long ball.
1-0 to Connor Rowe. Strike on the inside corner, 1-1.
Well, I really like the way Chad Jones is getting that inside part of the plate. It's almost like a little cutter. It's a short arm, but really effective on that inside half.
This one fouled straight back.
And if he can have that one, and then when the lefties come up, he does a thing where he throws his slider and falls away towards the third base side, which is very deceptive to the hitter because all of a sudden you see the ball and the pitcher's already gone. So your rhythm and timing is totally thrown off.
This one's popped up on the infield. Ochenko in fair territory makes the catch. 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th. Texas with a runner aboard. 2 out. Down by 5 as we play for a national championship here at the College World Series. Rosenblatt Stadium, Omaha, Nebraska. Paul Mainieri going for his first national championship. There's Augie Garrido trying to get his 3rd at Texas and his 6th overall. It's up to Kevin Clark, who singled his last time up. And there for a strike. Excuse me, Preston Clark. Hitting .400 here in Omaha. Takes that fastball high.
Chad Jones is showing a little pitchability out there. He's just trying to get the ball over. He's not overthrowing at 92, 93, which is his top end. He's throwing about 86 to 88 miles an hour, just trying to keep the ball down and throw strikes.
He started the first 14 games of this season in the outfield, was hitting .350. Then he went to spring football practice. That was 5 weeks. And when he came back, he no longer had a starting job. He'd missed so many reps. And they thought, well, the kid's such a good athlete. Just take him down in the bullpen and see if he can do anything. And after about 5 pitches, they said, you come down here, you want to see this.
In his first game, he walked, I think, the first 3 hitters, but then struck out the next 2, and they took him out. But he was given the out sign like he was an outfielder from the pitcher's mound.
3-1. In the air to shallow left. Schimpf is there. Texas is gone in the 7th. And LSU continues to lead by 5 big runs.
The road to Omaha is long, arduous. Destination, a national title. But nothing is set, so don't forget to stop and see the sights. Because you never know what you might miss. Omaha, Nebraska.
Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA College World Series, presented on ESPN by Capital One. What a ball game, what a series. As LSU has taken a 5-run lead over Texas, the Tigers will bat in the 8th, trying to add to that lead. Nola, the shortstop who hits number 9, steps in to face Austin Wood. Texas just hoping against hope that they can hold LSU for the next 2 innings and then stage another one of those comebacks and pull it out of the fire.
Well, LSU only lost 2 games in a row once this year. And that was the stimulus that brought some major changes that got Austin Nola into the lineup.
Fair ball. Nola on his way to second.
Austin Nola was a top recruit and was a freshman sitting and watching. But Paul Mainieri thought the defense wasn't good enough. He needed to make a shift and get him into the game at shortstop. And so after being beat by Tennessee 2 games, Nola came in from the bench to shortstop. LeMahieu went to second. Schimpf went to left. And Landry went to the bench. And they have been outstanding. And Mainieri made those changes because he thought the defense needed to improve to win a national title.
Keys didn't look like he was moving all that well as he chased that ball down the right field line. The young man who had had cramps before had to have an IV and then was hit on the foot by a pitch. LeMahieu with nobody on, a runner at second. Takes it outside.
His strides were a little on the short side.
Looked like it.
Yeah.
LeMahieu trying to go to the right side, fouls this one out of play.
Well, getting back to the Austin Nola story, when he was inserted in the lineup, Leon Landry was the odd guy out, but you know, looking towards next year for LSU, he was a starter last year. I mean, talking to Paul Mainieri, he's going to be doing some big things next year. It's not his last time being in the outfield in the starting lineup.
And we saw him make a brilliant catch last night that saved at least a 2-base hit down the left field line, diving across that line onto the track.
Now you're probably going to have Jared Mitchell, you know, signing a professional contract with the White Sox. And there's going to be some open spots.
Back up the middle, off of Wood. Boy, he took it right on the leg. Runners at first and third. Now they'll check on Austin Wood. Fifth round draft choice of the Tigers.
Yeah, he's a tough young man. He's not going to want to come out. We know about the 13 innings that he pitched this year, 169 pitches. And he wants to be in there. And I know this ball didn't pass the base in fair territory, but remember it touched a fielder before it went foul there. So that's a fair ball now.
More than touched.
Yeah.
Looked like he caught him right on the left knee. This could take a while just for that to loosen up. Coverage of Wimbledon continues tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. on ESPN2. We'll have the second round of the championships at Wimbledon. Hope you join us for that. One of the great sporting events in the world. Coverage 7 a.m. tomorrow. That's Eastern time. And they're going to take Wood out of there and bring on Shinneberry. And Austin Wood should get a nice round of applause, and you can tell he is still limping on that left leg. Got a timeout here in the 8th.
I'm Reese Davis. Want to give you a SportsCenter in-game update. Manny Ramirez continuing his return to baseball with the Albuquerque Isotopes. Made 2 plate appearances. He walked and that ground out. Baseball tonight's coming up after the Yankees and Braves, so keep you up to date on Manny.
LSU inching ever closer to winning the College World Series. They're ahead of Texas 9-4. Top of the 8th. They're trying to add to it. And the new pitcher appearing in his 13th game this year is Keith Shinneberry.
Very much of a student athlete. Actually has graduated, and a great teammate and leader and hard worker on this staff. He's a left-handed specialist. Drops down from about 2 or 3 different arm angles.
One of these guys you've got to call a crafty left-hander because the fastball's only around 78, 79 miles an hour. You better be crafty. Ryan Schimpf off the fist, and that's foul.
Well, you see that 79 miles an hour, and that's probably why that arm angle's down there too. Give you a different look.
And one of the last things you do to hang on to your baseball career if you're a pitcher is to go submarine or sidearm.
LSU has had a big night with runners in scoring position.
Submarine.
6 for 9 with 9 RBIs.
Submarine before knuckleball.
Yeah, knuckleball's so hard to throw down a hill. It's easy to throw on flat ground.
Popped up. Torres gives chase. It's out of play.
The reason Mike Robin brings that up is because all fielders, position players, think they can pitch a little bit, and one of the things that they think that'll bring them up to the mound is their knuckleball, and they all try it and work on it.
By the way, Oral, I have a 0.00 earned run average in the big leagues.
Oh no.
Yes.
How many innings pitched?
1.
Did you throw a knuckleball?
No, but I was throwing about 72. I was topping out. I went with the old throw it below hitting speed. I thought of the worst BP thrower I have ever faced, and I tried to mimic it.
That's what you did.
And it worked.
Well, you said every hitter thinks he can pitch. Every pitcher thinks he can hit.
Well, some of us can. I hit 356 one year.
How many at-bats?
There we go. I knew that question was coming.
Every pitcher thinks they can play the infield. If you watch, you guys are always cruising around the infield.
The manager's always like, get back in the outfield.
Yeah, they all think they can hit and take ground and be an infielder.
No, we do. We can and we do, and we can
hit.
You
guys don't hit anymore.
The grass is always greener. Shinneberry thought he had him, but it's 2-2 to Schimpf. LSU trying to add an insurance run or two here in the 8th. Grounded foul again. There are those numbers again. 6 out of 9 with runners in scoring position and 9 runs delivered. First 2 games really struggled in that department. 2-2. Missed high.
Well, they had only lost 2 in a row once this year. They'd only gotten 1 run 3 times this year in a game. Statistically, they look like they might finish this one off.
Well, they've already gotten rid of the closer, Austin Wood, with a shot back through the box that caught him in the left leg. Straightaway center field, plenty deep to get a run home. Connor Rowe will make the catch, and Austin Nola scores easily from third, and Texas into double digits.
Well, the other 3 times they only scored 1 run in a game. They came back with 22, 18, and 9, and now they come back with 10. Taylor Youngman for Texas did a great job last night, but today the LSU Bats have reawakened.
LeMahieu stays at first. LSU now leads Texas 10-4 here in the 8th inning. Fastball in there for a called strike to Blake Dean. 0 for 2 tonight, 6 for 21 in Omaha.
Texas looking for a double play right here, get in the dugout and save any kind of hope that they have of coming back from this 6-run deficit.
Well, they were down big against Arizona State and found a way. You're going to have to locate another miracle in this one. Two and 2 to Dean, and again, Rupp getting a little frustrated. He's framed several and not gotten the call. Down to first, could be 2. Pitcher has to cover, does a nice job getting it over there. A 3-6-1 double play. But LSU adds a run. The Tigers up by 6 as we go to the bottom of the 8th.
The NCAA College World Series is presented on ESPN by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
LSU 10, Texas 4, bottom of the 8th for the national championship. Mitchell, 3-run homer to start the ball game in the first. Texas kept fighting back, and Keys tied it with a 2-run shot over the 375 mark in the 5th. But then in the 6th, a bizarre series of circumstances, including that big double by Mikey Matuk, gave LSU the lead, and they have built on it since then. Here's Lewis Coleman, 14-2 on the year, coming in to pitch the 8th. Oral.
Well, 2009, this year, SEC Pitcher of the Year, All-American, a senior decided to come back to LSU after a disappointing finish last year, and Paul Mainieri said was the key integral part that put them over the top to make this team a championship team.
Leon Landry We've already seen the great defense he has played this series, and he's into left field. Here's the play he made last night. Just terrific effort and timing. And got a deserved standing ovation from the fans in left. And I think we had a timeout because there's a beach ball again on the field, so no pitch. Well, the security guys get their workout, don't they?
They even went and shagged beach balls when they were coming on the field during the hour-and-a-half rain delay yesterday. And the fans were swatting them down there on purpose, so the kids had to run out there in the rain.
And that's the left knee of Austin Wood, who took one right there. Got the ice on it to prevent swelling. Brandon Lloyd will lead it off in the 8th. Texas down to its last 6 outs, and they need 6 runs. High fastball fouled away.
I think one of the great things that Paul Mainieri's doing right here is Lewis Coleman. Not only is he the SEC pitcher of the year and great pitcher, but he's a senior, and he's in this game in the 8th inning helping them win a national championship.
I agree with you. I like that a lot, too.
Especially the way, the last game he gave up, last game he pitched in, he gave up a lot of solo home runs. They come back and win the game, but end it on a positive note. Your last game of your career at LSU, and he's letting them in there for the national championship game. I think that's just great.
This is the second time that he's gotten an honor like this. Paul Mainieri started him in the first game at new Alex Box Stadium.
I mean, these are really important things. To those kids individually, it's important to their teammates. And it's the kind of thing that makes you want to say, really like to play for that guy. That's cool what he did.
Oh, absolutely. You get guys that look at this, or people even watching, it's more than just the players you put out there, they perform. I'm sure to a lot of these kids, he's a father figure of sorts, and he's a teacher. I mean, we heard him talk about his dad and his mom were teachers, and he still feels like he's a teacher. And, he cares about the kids, not only about the baseball part.
Torres. 1-1, fouled at the plate.
I'm not sure for Paul Mainieri, he's starting to count the outs. Right now it's hard to hold your excitement. You got a 6-run lead, and you got your best pitchers coming in to close it out.
He's had so much success. He brought a northern school, Notre Dame, to the College World Series, and was offered the head job at LSU. Took it. He has rebuilt this program, brought them here, much to the delight of his wife and family. And now the only vacant spot on that resume, a national championship, is 5 outs away. But Michael Torres and the Longhorns are going to delay it as long as possible and trying to get a chance to reverse it. And Torres with a double to right center.
Paul Mainieri grew up in a coaching family, and the pitching decision today came all the way back from 1971 when his dad was coaching for the junior college championship of the nation, and his dad started his ace on 3 days rest, and he got beat 2-1, which probably would have happened if Renato pitched yesterday because Taylor Youngman pitched so well and only gave up 1. So he held back his ace, and it worked. Growing up with Dad, talking about around the dinner table, remembering memories of watching his dad coach.
And that was at Miami-Dade, one of the great junior college programs ever. Travis Tucker with the double tonight. Great stop by Helene. He comes up and throws him out. Boy, this kid has flashed leather the entire series.
Well, he's made some unbelievable plays, but this one, he dives backwards. He's going towards the shortstop and still has the ability to get up and get a strong throw off to first base. It's just an extremely difficult play for a third baseman to dive towards the outfield and get up and still have enough on it and the quickness to get the runner at first base. Unbelievable.
Pretty good arm, huh?
Absolutely.
Brandon Belt now with 2 out in the 8th. Checks his swing on a low fastball. Torres had to stay at second base. Strike at the knees. 2-1. Of course, Belt is up there looking for any way to get on. He'd be happy with a walk. They just need base runners.
Well, this relief appearance for Coleman is not something awkward for him, even though he was a starter all year. He was supposed to be their closer. The freshman Matty Ott, who we'll probably see in the 9th.
Fastball hit hard, but speared by Ochinko at first base. The LSU defense has been rock solid ever since they got to Omaha, and it saved them at least a run in this inning. But Helenihi with a sparkling play to rob them of a run. Welcome back to ESPN's coverage of the NCAA College World Series, presented on ESPN by Capital One. LSU 10, Texas 4 as we enter the 9th inning. Cubs shortstop Ryan Theriot was a key member of LSU's 2000 national championship team. Not surprisingly, his fondest memory is scoring the winning run.
We welcome you to Rosenblatt Stadium. It's out of here. 0-1 pitch. Base hit left field. He's going to wave him around. Topper comes up throwing to the plate. LSU wins it.
Skip used to make us watch these videos all the time, you know, and inspirational videos, and what they were basically was former teams winning the College World Series. And one of the clips was Armando Rios firing his helmet in the stands, and I think that image was just seared into my mind watching him do that, and you know, it just happened. I mean, it was just reaction.
Robin, you've made this point several times. Kids who want to play baseball grow up watching this event. They watch what other players do, whether they're being successful or failing, and they want to emulate them.
Oh, absolutely. And again, ESPN does a great job of just the pictures and the emotions of these games comes through.
Ochinko to lead it off in the 9th against Shinneberry. And Ochinko, our Capital One player of the game. 2 runs driven in, 3 for 4, scored a run.
And was inserted in the lineup in a little shift by Paul Mainieri to protect Blake Dean, and has come up big for the LSU Tigers.
And Paul Mainieri certainly pressed the right buttons tonight, didn't he? That thing is crushed, but it's hooking. And it is a home run just inside the pole. There was never a question of whether it would get out, but whether it would stay fair. Maybe he didn't know he was already the player of the game.
Well, they just wanted to cap this off with a little gorilla ball at the end. Let make sure everybody knows this is a fastball right down the middle.
into the night. And it hooks around the pole. Boy, what a blast.
There might be in a bowl of gumbo down the hill.
And now Mitchell against the left-hander Shinneberry, who was touched for only his 3rd home run this year. Right back to the mound. And Shinneberry with the underhand toss. 1 gone. 7 unanswered runs after Texas tied it at 4. Our Pontiac game-changing performance. Mikey Matuk into right center field in an inning that had a walk, a couple of hit batters, an error, a pass ball. That was the big hit that gave LSU the lead. And they're going to get a right-hander come in to pitch to Matuk. Chance Ruffin will have his opportunity here in the 9th. We'll check him out when we come back.
We welcome you to Rosenblatt Stadium. It's out of here.
Fresno State is Cinderella in cleats. This is the lowest seeded team to make the national championship ever.
And as he charged up in this final game,
ball hit to deep right, and it's gone. Hit to deep left. A 3-run shot from Detweiler. He does it again. Cinderella wins the national championship. That was certainly one for the ages, the most improbable champion we probably ever had out here, because they barely, I mean barely, got into the tournament to start with, and they just wouldn't give up. That was fun.
Tommy Mendoza was their 3rd baseman. He played an outstanding 3rd base. Detweiler in right field barely had cartilage in his thumb and was hitting for power.
Yep. And running into walls, the only thing he'd hit was his thumb. What a tough kid. Chance Ruffin will come on with a chance to get at least 1 out here in the 9th. And this is another tip of the cap by Augie Garrido to a veteran. Pop foul back over the roof. 2-2 to Matuk. Rolled over on 1 down to 3rd base, and Torres will throw him out. Once again, the #1 overall seed looks like it's on its way down. And there has been a big disparity in the seeds and the polls ever since they started seeding teams in this double bracket event. And you just wonder who's right.
It gets harder and harder when you have fewer and fewer scholarships. The parity is out there. And so the people that, you know, are the top teams by record, not always going to come out. But very good balance.
Yeah, I think the parity has, really improved. Also, you get schools that build nice new stadiums and facilities, and everything's getting better in college baseball. And, those teams are getting better also.
Ball and a strike, took something off there. 1-2 to Micah Gibbs.
The top programs, as they're going through the recruiting, they have the battle of recruiting the best players, being able to find a scholarship for them, and then hoping they don't turn pro. They've got to always have that balance of how many did they lose, how many did they get. And so depending on your situation, depends on what kind of problem or good situation you have.
Ball is lined to right. It'll be a base hit for Gibbs. And it's probably the hardest coaching position in all of collegiate athletics, to be able to divvy up only 11.7 scholarships and make it work with all the players you have on the roster. You'd like to see a more even footing for baseball and get more financial support.
Those coaches, they would love to have more money to give to kids, to have them come to school, to bring them to their great facilities. LSU's got a new ballpark. Texas has a beautiful ballpark.
And there are a lot of programs producing revenue now. I mean, they could certainly be self-sustaining.
LSU averaged 9,600 fans a game.
They
drew over 400,000 people.
Derek Helenihi with 2 out and a runner at first. Fouls this one back, and it's 0-2 to Helenihi.
What a recruiting tool it takes a young man, high school senior or junior, to LSU home game and say, we want you to come play here in front of this crowd, this brand new stadium.
Absolutely.
If you're good enough, you want to go to someplace like that.
Swing and a miss. Helenihi, who has been brilliant defensively, goes down swinging. We will go to the bottom of the 9th. The LSU Tigers 3 outs away from claiming that championship trophy here in Omaha, Nebraska. Will they do it, or does Texas have something left?
It's pretty simple, really. You take the raw ingredients, shape them, mold them, create what's meant to be. Culmination of thought, planning, ability, strength, and heart. Put it all together, and you have a champion.
LSU players greeting their teammates as they come to the dugout. Only one more piece of business, and that is to get Texas out here in the bottom of the 9th. The Longhorns with 3 outs left. They need 6 runs to tie. These are 2 of the most storied programs of all time in baseball. Texas with 6 national championships. LSU with 5. The Tigers within 3 outs of tying for 2nd place with a half dozen. They haven't won it since 2000. Some defensive replacements as Skip Bertman looks on, and Coleman will stay on for his 2nd inning of work. Nick Pontiff goes in right field. Chris McGee is your new 2nd baseman, and Buzzy Heidel is in at first. Moldenauer, the great hitting story of the Texas Longhorns, will lead it off here in the 9th. He singled his first time up. He's 1 for 4 on the evening. It's a long hill to climb.
Especially against Lewis Coleman. He's a guy that likes to pound the strike zone. He gets in more trouble because he throws too many strikes, and in this situation you can't throw too many strikes.
Coleman misses again. 3-0 to Moldenauer. Paul Mainieri would not be pleased with a walk. Boy, Micah Gibbs' head snapped back that time, not getting that call.
What a great job now. Let's go.
Paul's better half, Karen. When you're a couple and you're involved in this game, how long do you dream about a national championship? And now it's just sitting out there waiting for you. Kyle Lusson is on as a pinch runner for Moldenauer. And now Rupp. It's a called strike. Rupp 1 for 3 tonight, hitting .350 in Omaha. Breaking pitch misses. Lewis Coleman trying to get it done in the ninth. The senior from Slaughter, Mississippi. Has that one foul off the fist and out of play. 1-2.
Well, he looks like he's got his competitive edge back. He's found the strike zone. The guys on the bench are starting to relax, waiting for the crown. Lewis Coleman has to keep his game face on the mound.
Fastball called strike 3. Cameron Rupp is gone, the first out of the inning.
The Texas team has nothing to hang their head about. There can only be one champion, but they have battled and battled, and they have been counted out multiple times. This is LSU's first elimination game. They were on a 14-game winning streak going into last night. They have never faced an elimination game through the whole tournament. Texas had fended a few off.
And Texas was so impressive last night. They had to be so disappointed with that opening game loss. This is Kevin Keys. They hit all those solo home runs, showed tremendous power that they had not shown all year long, and still lost the opening game, but they battled back to win last night. One out, one on. 7 runs down, and Keys comes up limping after that swing. What a tough night. Hit on the foot, cramps bad enough so that he had to have an IV. Tough to limp on both legs.
Well, I'm sure he could pick a lot of places that hurt. Not just his feet, but, you know, I'm sure in his legs anywhere.
1-2 to Keys. Fastball. Called strike 3. Connor Rowe, the last chance for Texas. LSU 1 out away from a national title for Paul Mainieri. Already overwhelmed. They're on their feet at Rosenblatt. That's it. LSU wins it. Texas was so good. They fought so hard and played such incredible baseball. But LSU was better, and they win the national championship. Congratulations to the Tigers. 6 for LSU is a program that is #1 for Paul Mainieri. And he's got to be the happiest coach in the world right now. Paul Mainieri's dad, who taught him baseball, showed him how it was done at Miami-Dade Junior College. What a moment for them. And Augie Garrido, who has 5 in his pocket, came oh so close, but he'll be back. Let's get down to Kyle. He has Paul Mainieri with him.
Paul Mainieri, just a neat moment there with your father, Demi. I know you grew up the son of a college coach. You told me that a lot of kids dream of being a major league player. You dreamed of being a college coach. Now you won your first national title. How's it feel?
I'm so filled with so many different emotions right now, but all I could think about during the 9th inning was my father. I'm just so happy that he could be here to share it with us. But I'll tell you, I'm so proud to be the coach at LSU and to represent that great state and all the great people in that state and a wonderful university. And all I can think about besides that are these wonderful kids that I have the opportunity to coach. I've had wonderful kids everywhere I've been, St. Thomas, Air Force, at Notre Dame, and now at LSU, and they all feel a part of this with me. But I'm so happy for these kids. They've done everything you ever ask them to do, and they're just a great group, and they deserve it.
You made a move about 40 games into this season. You put a freshman at shortstop, changed some things around. Since then, you guys have played great baseball. What was the key from that point forward?
Kyle, they just played great. They played great defense. Our pitching's been solid all year. And when we got to the end of the season, everybody was just so determined that they were going to get it done. And our hitting was outstanding. And you know, it's just been a coach's dream to have a wonderful group of kids like this, and I'm so proud of them and so happy for them.
Well, Paul, congratulations.
Thank you, Kyle.
What an outstanding evening for that family. This is something they will remember for the rest of their lives, and it was great that Paul's dad could be here to share it with them. Let's go down to Aaron.
Mike, thanks so much. I'm here right now with Mikey Matuk, who just said, I didn't do that great in the finals. I struck out 6 times. But, oh, by the way, tonight you had the go-ahead RBI double. Great emotion from you when you were on second base. Tell us what you were thinking.
You know, I didn't have too great of a bats my first 3. And he threw me a fastball, and I got in the gap. And I was just, like they said earlier, I played the football mentality and just showed my emotion on second base.
You grew up a kid that always wanted to play at LSU. What is this moment like now that you won a national championship for the school?
This is a dream come true. Like you said, I dreamed about being here, and we finally won it, and now I'm part of tradition, and this is amazing.
And speaking of tradition, you've been very open about your father who played football for LSU. You lost him at a very young age. What does it mean to win a national championship for the school he played for?
It's unbelievable. I can't even tell you how I feel right now. You know, he's been with me the whole time, and without him, I couldn't have done it.
Congratulations. Go celebrate with your teammates. Mike, back up to you.
Aaron, thank you so much. And we're going to go back down to the field on the other side to Kyle Peterson with our Capital One Tournament Most Outstanding Player, and it's Jared Mitchell.
Jared Mitchell, quite a night for you. You guys start this game. You get moved up in the lineup a little bit. Hitting 5th tonight for this LSU team. 3-run home run in the first inning. Talk me through that at bat.
You know, I was looking for something. I knew he was going to, come back. He might have showed, might have showed a fastball early, but really he was going to rely on his off-speed pitch. I got to a 2-0 count, and, he left the changeup over the plate. I let it go. I figured I probably wouldn't get another pitch like that in that bat. And, I got to 2 strikes, and he threw the same pitch again and made a mistake, and I got the bat head out on him.
You've done something not a lot of people have done. You won a BCS championship a couple years ago on the football team, now a national championship on baseball. What's that feel like to win 2 different national titles?
There's so many words that can describe it that I can't even process right now. I mean, it's an unbelievable feeling, man. I've been blessed to have, be at a school like this and have a career like I've had.
What was the key to your run here in the last month or two?
Everybody pulling together, everybody playing with that sense of urgency. Everybody really put it together, and really we started playing our best ball towards the end of the year.
Jared, congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Mike.
All right, thanks, Kyle. It's got to be a bittersweet finish for Augie because he brought another team to Omaha, had another shot at a championship, falls 1 game short. Aaron?
Mike, thanks so much. Augie, top of the 6th is where it got away from your guys. What happened?
Well, I think, we got the 2 outs, and we were in pretty good shape, and the wheels just kind of fell off the car. We walked people, hit people, and they kept their rally going, capitalized on our mistakes, and then they added to it great determination, willpower. They played the best game. They deserved to win tonight. It was a great series, and I think our kids fought hard. And once they smelled the blood in the water, they did what they really should do and put us away.
You've been such a master motivator throughout this entire College World Series. What was your message to your guys?
Well, I don't know yet. I'm going to have to think about this a little bit. Sometimes I know that the teams that I've coached that have finished second in this tournament, the players on that team walk away with a different feeling of self, and they never want to finish second again in their life. And they've become very successful in their lives.
Augie, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Mike.
Very graciously said by Augie Garrido. When we talked to him this morning, he was so praiseworthy of LSU's team and Paul Mainieri and how well they had done, how much ability they had, and certainly they showed it. But we talk about 4 coaches being able to bring teams to this event, but Augie Garrido has not only brought 2 different schools, he's won 5 championships with those 2 different schools. Final out of the game. That will be burned into the collective memory of every LSU fan. Mikey Matuk and Leon Landry meet above 6 feet above the field. And the Mainieris finally exhale and celebrate. So disappointing for Texas. Such a proud tradition. Such a great program. And a talented team. But the best team came through. The best 2 out of 3 belongs to the Tigers of LSU. And Paul Mainieri doesn't mind at all. What are your thoughts? I mean, this was great stuff. It was theater.
The biggest, the strongest, the most athletic really came through at the end, and it was great that Lewis Coleman was on the mound, the senior that came back for his last year to get the last out in the College World Series. He was very respectful to Paul Mainieri to come back, loyal to the university, and the university paid him back with a national championship.
Well, it's the hitters for me. I mean, they've pounded out 11 runs today. Mikey Matuk, just the at-bats that he had, hitting the ball the other way. He had a tough at-bat the other night, knocked a run in, kind of kept the line moving. Jared Mitchell with a home run. They got it all done.
I'm excited for Paul Mainieri. I mean, I look down there and I see the emotion with his family in the stands, with his dad on the field, growing up a coach's son. And I know what it's like to play baseball and do it, but to see that lived out in a coach that really didn't get to do it on the field, it was fantastic for him.
He's a lifer. and you want to see lifers get that magic moment, and tonight he got it.
Well, for me, it's the same thing there. He finally gets his first championship. Skip's got 5, so now he gets 1, and that's the way it should be.
Congratulations to LSU. They walk away as the 2009 NCAA College World Series champs. Next on ESPN, the NBA Draft Preview Special. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Oral Hershiser, Robin Ventura, Aaron Andrews, Kyle Peterson, and our entire crew, this is Mike Patrick. It's been an unbelievable time over these past 12 days. As we say goodbye from Omaha, we leave you with our most memorable images from this town.